While hiking in the Wallowa Mountains, just 2 miles outside Joseph, Oregon, near the top of the Wallowa Lake Tramway, a man paused to take in the view. That's when he noticed movement among the trees. At first, he assumed it was another hiker, but then he saw a tall, dark, hairy figure partially hidden behind a tree, watching him. Frozen in shock, he managed to snap a photo before fleeing down the trail. Many believe this image captured evidence of Bigfoot, a creature long rumored to inhabit the Oregon wilderness. While hiking peacefully through the mountains of Peru, a man suddenly noticed something unusual on the cliffs ahead. From a distance, it appeared to be a person, but the figure was enormous, far too large to be human. As his camera zoomed in, the shape became more distinct. It moved step by step across the rocky slopes, almost like a human, yet its size seemed impossible when compared to the surrounding ridges. Many viewers are convinced he captured something extraordinary, a genuine giant roaming the mountains of Peru. This next account comes from a little-known YouTube channel called Captain Oho. It is a strange story tied to a channel with only a single upload, yet that lone video has come to be regarded as one of the most unsettling solo camping experiences ever recorded. The footage was filmed on August 31st, 2023, during a solo trip to Lost Lake in Oregon. At the time, a major wildfire was burning roughly 12 miles west of the area. Despite the obvious risks, the uploader decided to continue, explaining that the trip had been planned for more than a year. The plan itself was straightforward: hike into the backcountry, set up camp near the lake, and spend some time fishing. Early on, everything felt under control. The air quality was poor but not unbearable, so he pressed on toward Lost Lake. Several hours later, conditions took a sudden turn. The wind shifted unexpectedly, driving thick wildfire smoke directly into the area. The forest quickly became saturated with a dense, choking haze. By the time he reached the lake, visibility had dropped dramatically. What should have been a calm, scenic destination now appeared bleak, eerie, and almost post-apocalyptic.
Alright, so this is a trip. We're in Lost Lake, Oregon. We're out here with the ultralight. Woo! And you can't see 150 feet out there on the lake. This is all wildfire up here right now. We're out here trying to catch a trout, but good luck with that. We came up and boom, we drove right into this mess. So we're gonna try to catch us some trout. And go from there. It really is the end of the world. Just shoot up here. Look at that clearing out. Unbelievable. You can see this combination of smoke and moisture, but it is unreal up here. Some apocalyptic conditions. This is the most photographed lake in Oregon, maybe in the United States. And it is absolutely gorgeous out here when it is not the end of the world. So just unreal. I'm sure it's something that you cannot see quite often. Wildfire. Yeah, let's go get cigarettes.
Smoke hung low over the surface of the lake, and every breath felt heavier than the last. Even so, he attempted to fish. It did not take long, however, for him to realize that staying was not worth the risk. He packed up and moved deeper into the forest, where the smoke seemed marginally less severe, but he was not out of danger yet. No pun intended. That is where the story takes a strange and unexpected turn.
A year ago, I came out here with my wife, and she was about to pop pregnant. And we had to stop probably a quarter of the mile back. And I'd say this is our time to head back too, because whatever large creature is back there, it's big. Let's take a look. Shh, shh. It's big. It's probably fucking Sasquatch at this point.
Off in the distance, he noticed something large moving through the trees. At first, he assumed it was a deer, or possibly a bear displaced by the wildfire, but the longer he watched, the less it resembled any animal he could identify. Then, without any warning, objects began flying in his direction.
Turn it back. This is Sasquatch country. Oh my god. Wonderful poles and rock. We are back. Hear that? The one thing that is consistently reported with Sasquatch, rock throwing. Hear that? Big rocks. Those are big rocks, dude. Dude, they're lobbing rocks at me. Big fucking rocks. Hear that shit? It's hitting the tree. We're in Sasquatch country. This is not fake either, bro. They're big rocks being thrown at us right now. Huge, dude. Holy that's movement. It's getting too close, bro. We gotta keep it moving. We gotta keep it moving, baby. I do not want to die out here. Chunky rocks, dude. Dude, those are huge rocks. Huge. That is like no joke rocks. I don't have my gun out here.
What started as faint rustling soon escalated into the sound of heavy rocks slamming into nearby trees. These were not small pebbles. They were large, forceful throws, striking with unsettling accuracy. The sheer weight of the rocks and how close they landed convinced him that whatever was out there was strong and acting with intent. His fear intensified as he explained how narrowly some of the rocks missed him. With no way to defend himself, he concluded that leaving was the only option. He sprinted through the smoke-filled forest, adrenaline driving him forward until he finally reached his car. Once inside, with the door shut, he described feeling an immediate sense of relief. Still shaken, he later uploaded the footage online, where the comment section quickly erupted with debate. Some viewers were convinced it was a Sasquatch encounter, noting that rock throwing is a commonly reported behavior in Bigfoot sightings. Others remained skeptical, suggesting the situation may have been exaggerated or staged. Given the isolation, lack of other people, and the disruption caused by the nearby wildfire, it is plausible that a wild animal felt threatened and emerged from hiding. However, that explanation does not easily account for the rock throwing. The accuracy and force behind the throws suggests something unusually powerful. For those familiar with cryptid encounters, the incident checks several familiar boxes: rock throwing, territorial behavior, dense forest terrain, and a lone hiker. So what do you think? Did this man truly experience a Bigfoot encounter? Or did smoke, stress, and fear distort his perception of events? From a practical standpoint, one could argue that with a wildfire burning nearby, postponing a long-planned trip by a week or two might have been the safer choice. That said, heavy smoke can also push wildlife, or other unknown things, into areas they are rarely seen, which only makes this story more unsettling. In June 2015, a group of hikers embarked on a weekend camping trip, unaware that one night in those woods would leave a lasting impression on them forever.
No, ma che cos'è, ragazzi? Ma che da minchia cosa? Oh, ecco un Bigfoot! Un Bigfoot! Grazie da bene! Guarda, scappa! E qui nudo, te che guardi! Guarda, occhio, prendetelo!
The footage they recorded is grainy, yet unsettling. While one of the hikers filmed the quiet forest, a dark figure suddenly darted between the trees at high speed. Due to the low quality of the video, it's impossible to determine exactly what they captured that day. Whatever it was, it left them thoroughly terrified. Look, it looks really fast. The quality, of course, is terrible. Everything is in pixels, as if they were shooting on an old Nokia, where nothing could be disassembled at all. But here's what's in the center. The sight of it sends a chill down my spine. It's clearly not a tree or a bush, it's someone alive. It's obvious that this thing is just huge. If you compare it with the bushes on the side, then it's at least 2.5 meters tall. And the shoulders, look at how wide and sloping they are. An ordinary man in a jacket doesn't look like that. People still have a neck, but here the head seems to grow right out of the back, and the color is strange. Some kind of silver gray. Maybe the light from the flashlight falls on wet fur like that, or is he really gray? The old Bigfoot? I do not know who would dress up in a costume in the woods at night and stagger around in the dark, risking that some hunter would shoot out of fright. A bear? Well, bears look like sausages on their hind legs, they're clumsy. But this one stands confidently like a human. In general, I would not like to be in the place of the one who took this picture. I think it could be him. There are so many places in the forest where no human has ever set foot. Why wouldn't someone like that live there? It looks very natural and creepy. A man manages to photograph what appears to be a Bigfoot in the snow-covered forest near North Bay, Ontario. I found the images intriguing, but the size comparison shown at the end of the clip is especially surprising. Take a look. Here's another encounter from the Oklahoma Adventures team. While exploring a dense forest, they suddenly noticed movement behind a tree. When they zoomed in to see what it was, they witnessed something astonishing. According to the team, it let out a growl, seemingly as a warning to stay away. At first glance, it resembled a gorilla, but with no wild apes in Oklahoma, that left only one plausible explanation: Bigfoot. And remarkably, they claim to have captured it on camera not just once, but twice. This next case comes from a Reddit post titled, "What My Fiancé Thinks is a Possible Bigfoot." The couple was walking on the back end of the man's adopted mother's property when they suddenly heard rustling in the woods, followed by the sound of a branch snapping. Curious and uneasy, they moved closer to investigate, and that's when he took this photo. In the image, you can see a large dark figure standing between the trees, partially hidden by the forest. Its size and shape immediately stand out from the surroundings. The witness claims the figure appeared to be watching them, and he felt like it was following their movements. They chose to leave the area calmly, but the next day, when he returned to the same spot, the figure was gone. Combined with his previous encounters on that property, this photo raises an unsettling question. Was this just a trick of the shadows, or something much larger hiding in the woods? This video was originally titled, "The Soothing Sounds of the Canadian Wilderness," but there's nothing soothing about it. It was filmed in winter, deep in a forested area where a man is hiding behind what looks like a small, collapsed wooden structure. Snow covers the ground and the woods around him are completely still.
What the fuck was that? I heard some shit right here.
In the distance, a loud, echoing scream suddenly breaks the silence. The sound is deep, powerful, and unlike anything you'd expect to hear in a normal forest. The man stays hidden, clearly confused and uneasy, trying to figure out what could be making those noises. Whatever is out there never appears on camera, but the raw fear in his voice and the isolation of the setting make this clip especially disturbing. In this next clip, two guys are driving through the forest during the daytime in a small off-road vehicle, something like a buggy. They're focused on the trail ahead and don't seem to notice anything unusual at first.
Disease where you get to drink all the time. He says, you meet a girl who's got the same disease as you know. And he's got a talk show.
But if you watch closely, off to the side of the frame, a large figure suddenly sprints between the trees. It appears only for a brief moment, moving fast and smoothly before vanishing back into the forest. The speed and size of the figure make it easy to miss, but once you see it, it's hard to ignore. Whatever ran past them did so with purpose, and the fact that the drivers never even noticed it at the time makes the clip even more unsettling. This footage comes from a family who were hiking deep into the woods, heading toward a specific spot, a small, secluded waterfall they wanted to stand under and enjoy. After a long hike, they finally reached the location, and one of them started recording the moment. Everything seemed calm and peaceful, until something unexpected appeared in the background of the shot. Looking closely through the fast-moving water droplets, you can make out a dark, upright silhouette moving behind the waterfall. The figure is clearly bipedal, large and humanoid in shape. As it walks along the elevated area, its broad back and slightly hunched shoulders stand out. Some skeptics claim it's just a tall person wearing a backpack, but the proportions and movement don't fully match that explanation. The area itself is extremely remote, with a constant water source and dense cover. Theoretically, an ideal place for an unknown creature to remain hidden. The family reportedly stopped filming shortly after and left the area, clearly shaken. Like many sightings, this one remains open to debate, but the setting, behavior, and timing make it feel surprisingly authentic. This next video was filmed by a man driving along a road when he suddenly notices movement just beyond a thin line of trees. He rolls down his window and starts recording, and almost immediately, a massive figure comes into clear view.
Whoa.
The creature is extremely visible. Tall, broad, and covered in brown and white fur. It walks fully upright, with a smooth, human-like stride, moving calmly between the trees. There's no frantic motion or animal-like behavior, just a steady, confident walk. The clarity of the footage and the natural way the figure moves make this one of the more striking clips, raising serious questions about what exactly was walking so openly just off the road. In this case, a group of teenagers were having a picnic deep in the woods when they suddenly noticed movement between the trees nearby. When they looked closer, they realized a large figure was walking through the forest not far from them. Panicking but trying to stay quiet, one of them raised a phone and secretly took a photo without making any sudden moves. The photo shows only the creature itself, partially blurred, but clearly visible in daylight. The figure is tall, upright, and humanoid, caught mid-stride as it moves behind a tree. Long arms, broad shoulders, and its overall size make it stand out from anything human. The teens said they backed away slowly right after, shaken by what they saw. Even though the image isn't perfectly sharp, the shape and posture are clear enough to make this a very unsettling capture. In this video, a father is filming his two children, his daughter and son, playing together in an open field near the edge of a forest. Everything seems normal until the boy suddenly points toward the tree line and says something that catches his dad's attention. The father turns the camera toward the woods to see what his son is reacting to.
What?
That's when a massive figure can be seen near the bushes at the forest's edge. It only appears briefly before disappearing back into the trees, but its size is unmistakable. The figure looks tall, broad, and extremely solid, far larger than a person. As soon as the boy notices it move, he runs back to his father, clearly scared. The camera quality is good, and even in that short moment, the creature's mass and presence are hard to ignore. In this case, an elderly couple were simply reviewing footage from their home security camera, something they regularly do before deleting old recordings. Nothing unusual stood out at first, just their quiet backyard and the tree line beyond it. But then, in one of the clips, they noticed movement in the distance that immediately caught their attention. Looking closer, they spotted a large, dark figure walking upright near the edge of the forest. The image quality is poor, typical of nighttime security cameras, but the shape is unmistakable. The figure appears tall and bulky, moving slowly between the trees before disappearing back into the darkness. The couple said they had never seen anything like it before, and the fact that it was captured accidentally, without anyone outside at the time, makes the footage especially unsettling. That's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm curious what you think about these sightings. Which one stood out to you the most, and do you think any of them could be the real thing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Here's a daylight Bigfoot sighting from October 26th, 2022, filmed near Baxter, Tennessee, close to Silver Point. The footage was recorded on private property by the landowner just inside the tree line. What makes this clip stand out is the lighting. It's broad daylight, with clear visibility of the surrounding area. The figure appears briefly near the edge of the woods, partially obscured by branches before moving deeper into the trees. The video was later uploaded by Clay Shiner and quickly sparked discussion in the comments.
Do you see that? Do you see that? I'm afraid. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Valley, do you see that? Do you see?
Watching the footage closely, the proportions of the figure are what really stand out. The arms appear unusually long, especially in the moment where it reaches out and grabs a branch, something several viewers pointed out in the comments. The movement looks controlled and natural, not rushed or panicked, and the posture stays upright the entire time. It doesn't move like a bear or any other known wildlife in the area. Even though the clip is short, the combination of daylight, clear surroundings, and those long, swinging arms makes this sighting particularly interesting. Here's a well-known Bigfoot encounter from Russia, recorded in 2015, often referred to locally as an Almasty sighting. According to the people who filmed it, their family has reported encounters with this creature on their property for generations, with stories dating back as far as the 1700s. In the footage, a large, dark, humanoid figure is seen moving in the distance near a wooded area, partially obscured by terrain and vegetation. The setting is remote and rural, adding to the sense that this isn't a place where you'd expect to see a person wandering around unnoticed.
Смотри, ветки шатаются. Смотри.
О, побежал! Я заснял его!
Чтоб не испугать его, пошли.
Я заснял!
Смотри.
Ё-моё!
Будет килограмм 200 весит.
What makes this video especially interesting is the historical context behind it. In the Caucasus and surrounding regions, Almasty legends go back centuries, long before modern Bigfoot reports. The figure in the video appears tall and upright, with proportions that don't resemble known wildlife, and it moves with a slow, deliberate gait. While the footage itself is brief and not perfectly clear, the consistency between the family's long-standing claims and what's captured on camera raises questions. Whether this is a continuation of an old local legend or something genuinely unexplained, the encounter fits surprisingly well with traditional Almasty descriptions. Here's an interesting Bigfoot photo story shared on Reddit, reportedly taken near Mount Shasta. While visiting the area, the poster struck up a conversation with a local tour guide and jokingly asked if he'd ever had a Bigfoot encounter. To their surprise, the guide said yes and described an incident from about 5 years earlier. He had been taking a photo of a friend after a long hike near the summit, and nothing seemed unusual at the time. It wasn't until later, when reviewing the photo, that they noticed a strange figure barely visible in the background, standing just inside the tree line. The image shared online is a zoomed-in crop of that original photo, focusing only on the figure. Looking at the image, the figure appears dark and humanoid, partially obscured by trees, making it easy to miss at our first glance. What adds weight to the story is the guide's reaction. He wasn't dramatic or trying to impress anyone. He simply stated that he believes in Bigfoot. He also mentioned spending a lot of time snowboarding in the Mount Shasta backcountry and having repeated experiences where he felt watched, sometimes catching brief glimpses of glowing eyes in his peripheral vision that would vanish as soon as he turned to look. On their own, these moments are easy to dismiss, but combined with the photo, they paint a picture that feels unsettlingly consistent with many reports from the area. This video is perhaps one of the most impressive recordings I've ever seen. A man living in a remote area deep within Kentucky Ridge Forest claims he has been troubled by these Bigfoot-like creatures. Finally, early one morning before heading to work, he managed to capture one of them on camera. Of course, the video quality isn't great, but it is clear that the figure is very tall. It doesn't behave like a person in a costume. It moves like a massive bipedal ape.
Are you joking right now?
Monroe County. A new Bigfoot sighting in Monroe County, Michigan, is being considered credible. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO, has begun investigating the incident reported on May 18th by Edward Henry and his 12-year-old son. While fishing near Plum Creek, the father and son said they first heard rustling, followed by a loud thud. They then claimed to have seen a strange creature about 8 feet tall with a hairy back and big buttocks. The sighting occurred near a jail and a quarry. So, did Edward and his son truly encounter Bigfoot that day? What do you think about the footage? And to wrap things up, this is the final case in today's video, the full Freeman footage, one of the most discussed Bigfoot recordings out there. Unlike the short, edited clip most people know, this version shows the entire sequence leading up to the sighting. The footage captures Paul Freeman documenting large tracks on the ground, explaining where they lead, and talking through his thought process as he follows them toward a water source. By the time the sighting happens, there's already context, build-up, and a clear sense of why he's in that area.
This is some of those little ones' tracks that's in here. I come back up here today to cast these. About 9 inches long. Went right up this old trail. Run around up there to his mommy, I guess. And there's 4 little tracks here. And 32 inches between the stride there. I don't know how. Looks like he's pretty fresh. Yeah, I'll go around this bush here, see what's going on here. Oh yeah, here's where. Yeah, here he's come down. Oh shit, he's come down and went back up both. Oh, there he goes. Jesus. Get up here where I can see him real quick.
What makes this footage so compelling is Freeman himself. His reactions feel genuine. The excitement, the tension, and the disbelief all come across naturally. When the figure finally appears, the way it moves suggests real weight and mass, something that's hard to fake convincingly. Many viewers have pointed out that the physics of the movement don't match a human in a costume. While no video is ever beyond skepticism, this full version adds important details that are missing from the shortened clips, making it one of the strongest and most complete Bigfoot encounters ever recorded. That's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm curious what you think about these sightings. Which one stood out to you the most, and do you think any of them could be the real thing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The Blue Mountains, which straddle the border between Washington and Oregon, have long been considered a hotspot in American Bigfoot lore. With their dense forests, deep canyons, and vast stretches of untouched wilderness, the region feels like the kind of place where something large and unknown could remain hidden with relative ease. For many, the most well-known mystery tied to these mountains centers on a series of unusual footprints associated with a man named Paul Freeman. The 3 images shown here were taken in Walla Walla, Washington, located within the Blue Mountains. They date back to December of 1991. Each photograph captures a similar set of strange footprints pressed into the snow. The impressions appear human-like in shape, but they are noticeably larger and significantly wider than an average human foot. The prints are rounded overall, yet they display distinct toe impressions. One reason Paul Freeman's footprints continue to be discussed is the level of detail reported by those who have examined them. Some of the casts he produced over the years are said to show signs of toe movement, midfoot flexibility, and even faint, skin-like ridge patterns. Details that would be extremely difficult to replicate using simple carvings or wooden stompers. That level of complexity led certain researchers to take the evidence seriously. However, little is known about these specific photographs, including whether plaster casts were made from the prints shown. Even so, Freeman's body of evidence is often considered among the strongest in Bigfoot research. He devoted many years of his life to tracking this elusive and controversial creature, Bigfoot, a being that many people believe in, and one that Freeman himself was convinced was real. This footage was taken by a hunter who was sure he was watching a black bear scratching its back against a tree. However, after a few seconds, it becomes clear that this is not a bear at all. The camera captures something much larger, taller, and more human-like than one would expect in the forest. In this video, we will analyze the latest footage from a car DVR taken at a public campground in South Carolina, USA. The recording was made by accident, but it clearly shows a large bipedal creature confidently moving in an upright position. The filming location is an open area with access for ordinary visitors, which makes this case especially intriguing. This video shows a large, dark, upright figure emerging from the forest, moving through an open clearing surrounded by a dense pine forest. Due to the fact that the video was taken on a DVR, the figure has a special scale. Compared to a car parked nearby and a pile of firewood in the center of the clearing, the figure seems much taller and wider than an ordinary person, with a solid build. Proportions are one of the most striking elements. The arms seem long and hang low on the sides of the body, falling well below the waist. The torso appears thick and barrel-shaped, without the narrow waist characteristic of humans. The head is set low on the shoulders. The neck is not clearly defined, which creates a sloping profile from the head to the upper back, an anatomical detail that is often reported when observing a Bigfoot. It is also worth noting the gait. It seems that the figure is taking a medium step, approaching the camera with a steady, measured step. The legs look strong and powerful, with a slight visible separation between the thighs, which indicates significant muscle mass. There are no visible wrinkles, contrasting colors, or shoe marks on the clothes, which weakens the arguments in favor of the man in the suit, although this cannot be completely ruled out. This is a public tent camp, not a remote area, which is consistent with many modern reports of Bigfoot being found near human activity rather than in a remote area. The lighting is natural daylight, which reduces the likelihood of shadow-based illusions. The figure creates a solid silhouette, without sharp edges or artificial contours. We've seen alleged Bigfoot evidence captured on trail cameras, smartphones, and even in photographs. But what about an image discovered on Google Earth? Google Earth is a digital globe that allows users to explore nearly every corner of the planet from a phone or computer. By combining satellite imagery, aerial photography, and 3D terrain data, it creates an interactive, high-resolution model of Earth that you can zoom, tilt, and navigate as if you were flying above the surface. In one specific location, something unusual appears. The image shows a strange figure crouched behind a rock. It looks somewhat Neanderthal-like, almost a variation of a human, but with a dark gray coloration and what appears to be hair covering its body. The fact that this image comes from Google Earth makes the idea of a hoax far less likely. Google Earth gathers massive amounts of imagery from satellites and aircraft, then stitches those images together into a seamless global map. Photos taken at different times and angles are blended, with lighting and perspective corrected to appear natural and continuous. The end result is a detailed, interactive representation of the planet. So, how would something like this be captured if it wasn't actually there at the time? Some have suggested it could have been a person in a costume attempting to prank Google Earth. However, there's no way to know when Google Earth is collecting imagery, especially in remote regions like this one. In reality, staging a prank for Google Earth would be nearly impossible. It's an undeniably strange and intriguing capture that has captivated and confused people online. Whether it's Bigfoot or some entirely different creature remains unclear. It doesn't resemble a typical Sasquatch, but that only adds to the mystery. Either way, the story behind this image makes it particularly compelling. This trail camera footage is genuinely unsettling. Some believe it shows Bigfoot, Others think it could be a completely different creature, while many argue it's an outright hoax. Regardless of what it is, the footage is so unusual that it has taken many viewers by surprise. It was originally recorded on November 8th, 2020, nearly 5 years ago. Take a look for yourself. A grotesque-looking hand can be seen waving directly in front of the trail camera. The interaction lasts for roughly 20 seconds. Many viewers have pointed out that the hand appears human in shape, yet distinctly not human at the same time, almost primate-like, but far larger and noticeably more worn and damaged. Because of its sheer size and overall appearance, many believe the hand belongs to Bigfoot. Some speculate the creature may have been attempting to tamper with the trail camera, possibly trying to break it, while others think it was simply curious. After all, a creature like Bigfoot wouldn't understand modern technology or recognize the object as a camera, so it may have been interacting with it out of intrigue. According to the original uploader, someone who closely analyzed the footage noted that the bone structure of the hand does not match that of a human. The uploader stated, quote, "If this were fake, it would have to be very well done," end quote. Another commenter also mentioned that the fingernails appear crushed or damaged, something that would be extremely difficult to convincingly fake. However, since the only visible part of the creature is its hand, it's impossible to say with certainty what it belongs to. Still, it's clear that something about this footage doesn't sit right. So, the question remains, are we looking at the hand of a Bigfoot, or possibly some other massive humanoid creature? I'll leave that up to you, the viewers, to decide. As mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly realistic. Videos are now being created that are difficult to immediately label as either real or fake. This particular clip is currently being debated online, with believers and skeptics divided, some calling it AI generated, others insisting it's authentic footage. I'll show you the video, present all the available information, and let you come to your own conclusion. Something truly fascinating has just surfaced in the Bigfoot world, an old FBI file that might actually support the existence of these creatures. For those who aren't aware, the FBI has released thousands of previously classified files through the Freedom of Information Act, and some of them are downright strange. Here's the kicker. The FBI usually doesn't make this kind of material public unless the person involved has passed away. So the release of a 22-page document specifically about Bigfoot raises some eyebrow-raising questions. Could this imply that Bigfoot is dead, or at the very least, that the creature is real enough for the Bureau to take it seriously? Regardless, the content of these files is what really grabs attention. Let's break down what the documents actually say. The first page of this file is dated September 14th, 1976, authored by Peter C. Byrne from the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition, BIC, in Dallas, Oregon. Byrne wrote to the FBI's Scientific and Technical Services Division, requesting tests on some unusual hair samples they had found. 15 hairs still attached to a small piece of skin. They couldn't identify it, and thought it might be solid evidence of Bigfoot, so the samples were sent off for extensive testing. A few months later, the FBI responded. The hairs were determined to come from the deer family. For Bigfoot enthusiasts, this was a disappointing conclusion, but it's important to note, it doesn't disprove Bigfoot's existence. This particular case simply came up empty. Of course, some conspiracy theorists aren't satisfied. They argue the FBI didn't provide enough details about the tests conducted, and suggest this could have been a cover-up. They speculate that the Bureau might hold other Bigfoot files, ones that actually prove its existence, and that this release was a clever way to throw the public off the trail. While the FBI has made a number of Bigfoot-related files public, they could theoretically select which ones to release, potentially only sharing those that make the creature seem unlikely. So, even though this case doesn't confirm Bigfoot, it's still a fascinating glimpse into the history of these investigations. What do you think? Cover-up or just a dead end? A boy in Australia recording a video about making a fire in the woods may have unintentionally documented a possible Yowie encounter. In the footage, an unseen presence appears to throw an object at him from the tree line. followed by loud movement and aggressive territorial sounds. Behavior that could suggest an attempt to scare him away from the area. Whether this was a genuine Yeti sighting or simply someone in a costume remains open to debate.
Whoa! Whoa!
Here's another Bigfoot encounter that feels shockingly real. This one comes from a family out on a hike, just soaking in the scenery. They ventured deep into the woods, aiming for a particular spot, a small waterfall where they could stand beneath the cascading water. Once they arrived, one of them started recording to capture the moment, but in the background, something unexpected quietly makes its presence known. Through the spray of the waterfall, a bipedal silhouette emerges, a large, dark figure that undeniably resembles a Bigfoot. The family keeps filming as it moves along, then abruptly stops the recording, likely too stunned to continue. What was supposed to be a peaceful visit to the waterfall quickly turned into an encounter with something that many claim doesn't even exist. Slowing the footage down, you can make out more details. An upright figure with a broad back and hunched shoulders. Skeptics immediately suggested it's just a person with a backpack walking along the elevated terrain. But believers argue the proportions and movements match Sasquatch reports far too closely to ignore. Like many sightings, this one remains up for debate, but it certainly isn't lacking in authenticity. The story feels genuine, and the remote location with its endless water sources could easily serve as a Bigfoot habitat, a perfect hideout for an elusive creature. And yet, the next sighting I'm about to show keeps up this sense of realism while giving us some of the clearest footage we've seen so far. Let's dive in. While camping in a secluded shelter deep in the Michigan woods, a man settles in for the night with his two dogs, Miley and Lola. The stillness is abruptly shattered by eerie, echoing howls, long, powerful calls unlike any coyote or wolf he has ever encountered. His dogs stiffen, fixated on the dark forest.
You guys hear that? What the hell is that? That sounds like a skinwalker, Wendigo. What's that, girl? What's that, Lola? Dude, that shit's crazy as hell. It's coming from both sides. What is it, girls? You hear it? Dude, that thing's getting closer, though. What is it, girl? You hear it? Dude, I don't want to leave this blind. Whatever that is, it's creepy as shit. It's got the dogs wound up. What's going on, Miley? Lola? Should we go out there and find out what it is? Huh? That's crazy sound.
Some of the sounds are low, guttural moans, while others resemble a mix of whoops, screams, and loud knocks on nearby trees, patterns often reported in Bigfoot encounters. Experts suggest such vocalizations could serve as territorial warnings, communication between individuals, or even attempts to intimidate intruders. Unsure if the noises are coming from a Bigfoot, dogman, or some other unknown creature, the man can do nothing but listen as the mysterious presence moves around the camp, drawing closer with every unsettling sound. Next up, we've got a Bigfoot sighting at Mono Lake, California, one of the state's most surreal and alien-looking spots. Mono Lake is an ancient saltwater lake tucked into a quiet desert basin east of the Sierra Nevada. With no natural outlet, salts and minerals have built up over thousands of years, giving the water a strange, almost silky texture. The lake is also famous for its tufa towers, tall, jagged limestone formations that jut out of the water like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But Mono Lake isn't just known for its bizarre scenery, it is also a hotspot for reports of unusual creatures. Among them, this footage allegedly captures a Bigfoot lurking near the lake, adding yet another layer of mystery to this already otherworldly location. This footage was captured by a man who was simply trying to film the stunning Mono Lake landscape, but in the background, for just a fleeting moment, a pitch-black figure appears, dark as a shadow. Its build screams, Bigfoot, long swinging arms, a domed head, and an unmistakably humanoid shape. It shows itself briefly before disappearing behind the jagged tufa formations. California has a long history with Bigfoot sightings. Most famously, the Patterson-Gimlin film, the most studied Bigfoot footage ever, was shot in Northern California along Bluff Creek. This video comes from Central California, so it's not exactly the same area, but still within a state known for strange encounters. Even though this clip is short, it's compelling. Between the story, the remote location, and the creature's appearance, it feels authentic. Could California really be hiding Sasquatches in its wild corners? This video makes you wonder. Here's another fairly strange Bigfoot capture. This one reportedly comes from a golf course in Pennsylvania. According to the caption, the image was taken by a trail camera in 2023 and shows what is described as a dark, hulking figure standing between 6 and 7 feet tall. The figure was allegedly spotted near the 9th hole at dusk. The photo itself is quite grainy, but it clearly shows a creature with what many would consider a textbook Sasquatch appearance. The figure appears to be partially concealed behind a fallen tree. Even though the image was captured at night by a trail camera with limited low-light capability, the subject is still surprisingly visible. Take a close look at the face. It appears human-like, yet distinctly primal. Exactly how Bigfoot's facial features are often described. From the pronounced bone structure to the slightly puckered, oversized lips, the broad nose, large forehead, and prominent brow ridge, nearly every detail aligns with classic Bigfoot descriptions. The body proportions also fit what witnesses frequently report. I believe this image may have even been featured on the well-known show Finding Bigfoot. What makes this sighting especially interesting is the location. A Bigfoot appearing near a golf course is unusual, but many courses are fairly remote and often surrounded by wooded areas. In theory, a creature like this could easily move through, or even take shelter in such an environment at night. Still, this may be the first reported Bigfoot capture from a golf course. Let me know what you'd do if you ever ran into a Bigfoot while out golfing. Let's take a look at another unique and highly convincing Bigfoot video. This footage was uploaded on July 28, 2025, and submitted to the Bigfoot research group Rocky Mountain Sasquatch by the individual who recorded it. The witness writes, quote, "Bigfoot, watching my dog play in the Eastern Sierras back in May," end quote.
Be careful.
He recalls that the elevation at that location was roughly 10,000 feet, and the sighting occurred the moment he began recording. The man was simply trying to capture footage of his dogs playing when he unintentionally filmed what appears to be a Sasquatch. One of the dogs seems to notice it as well, looking directly in its direction. The dog watches the figure move past, but shows little reaction, quickly returning to play with the other dog. The witness states, quote, "It's very clear this creature has dark-colored fur. It's not clothing. It looks completely natural. I believe this is the real thing," end quote. Rocky Mountain Sasquatch later analyzed the footage and highlighted several key details. They point out that the figure appears to have a domed head, a feature commonly reported in Bigfoot sightings, and that its movement seems far too smooth to be a person. There is no noticeable up and down motion typical of human walking. Instead, the figure appears to glide. The Sierra Nevada mountain range, stretching through California and into Nevada, is one of the West's oldest landscapes and has long been connected to Bigfoot lore. For over a century, reports of strange encounters, unusual tracks, and countless campfire stories have helped keep the legend alive throughout these mountains. Long before the term Bigfoot was ever used, several indigenous tribes in and around the Sierra Nevadas told stories of large, hairy, human-like beings. Depending on the tribe, these entities were described as forest guardians, tricksters, or dangerous wild men inhabiting the high country. What's most important is that these stories were not isolated incidents. They appeared across the region, suggesting that encounters with mysterious figures in these mountains have been occurring for generations. There are many other reports just like this from the area, but if I covered them all, we'd be here all day. I'll leave it at that. Still, this particular video stands out, and when combined with the region's long and unsettling Bigfoot history, it becomes even more compelling. A hiker became lost in a Swedish forest for roughly 30 minutes. While searching for the trail, a sudden piercing scream echoed through the trees.
Okay, what the fuck? That was like a voice, but I don't know where. Like, it sounded like it came from if you walk through here. But I have no idea how to walk through there because it's like, I mean, great time to put up the camera, I guess. That was great. Like screaming. That's the what? Second time I've heard screaming. That lasted way longer. Yeah, no, I'm like pretty lost actually.
More screams echoed from various directions. The hiker recorded the sounds while continuing on, unsure of their source. There were no nearby houses or roads. Later, some suggested the noises could have come from animals, such as foxes or roe deer, which are known to produce eerily human-like sounds. Eventually, the hiker found a clear path and reached safety, though uncertainty remained about whether the sounds were truly just wildlife. This remarkable Bigfoot encounter was originally recorded in 2009, but it has largely gone unnoticed until recently resurfacing on January 9th, 2025. The video's caption reads, quote, "Deer being stalked by a Bigfoot. A man was out hiking when he came across a long gravel path," end quote. After reaching the path in a small clearing, he noticed a group of deer standing motionless. Fascinated by the scene, he began recording them. That's when a massive, unknown presence makes itself known. What appears to be a Bigfoot-like figure emerges, seemingly stalking the deer. Its presence is evident in real time, as the deer remain locked onto it, turning their heads and tracking its movement as it walks along the path. The dark figure comes to a stop and stares down the trail for roughly 5 to 6 seconds before turning and walking away, leaving both the hiker and the deer visibly unsettled. As it retreats, its sheer size becomes more apparent. The broad back, unusually long arms, and what looks like a thick covering of dark fur are clearly visible. Naturally, skeptics have challenged these claims. Some argue that the figure is not a Bigfoot at all, but simply a large person who happened to walk onto the path. They suggest that when the video is paused and zoomed in, the figure appears to be wearing a dark sweatshirt. Others, however, are fully convinced this is a Sasquatch. They point to the unusual gait, the way the arms swing, and the overall proportions of the figure as evidence that it doesn't move like a human. It's certainly an interesting debate. What do you think? Is this just a person whose features are distorted by distance and resolution, or could it truly be a Bigfoot quietly observing both the deer and the hiker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. While trekking along a secluded forest trail, a hiker feels an odd sensation, as if something is watching them. A rustle in the underbrush catches their attention. With a quick motion, they turn to see a large, shadowy figure crouched behind the dense vegetation. The shape is covered in rough, dark hair, and although it bears a vaguely human-like form, there's something distinctly off about it. The hiker's heart races, driven by a mix of curiosity and instinctive caution. Without thinking, they quickly snap a photo, capturing the figure just before it slips silently back into the thick foliage. Later, when reviewing the image on their camera, the hiker's breath catches. The photo seems to show a creature, large, hairy, and partially obscured, possibly a Bigfoot, lurking just off the trail. Watching them pass by, the realization sends a chill down their spine, leaving them both shaken and intrigued by what they may have encountered in the wild. Here's another fresh Bigfoot sighting, uploaded on November 7th, 2025. making it brand new. The footage is fairly clear, but the figure is partially obscured by thick fog in the area. If you've seen one of my earlier Bigfoot videos, you might recognize a similar clip, where a Bigfoot was spotted in the fog. It seems like these foggy encounters are becoming more common lately. The caption on the video reads, "Incredible new Bigfoot footage. This is the best footage of Sasquatch I've seen yet." And honestly, I have to agree, it's pretty impressive. Within the fog, a creature that closely resembles Bigfoot is visible, an ape-like, yet human-like figure. It approaches the hiker, then turns away, glancing in the opposite direction. That's when the man decides to flee. While the encounter is brief, it still serves as an incredible piece of evidence. The creature appears thick and strong, which is a typical trait of Sasquatch sightings. However, skeptics have been quick to question the footage. Some suggest it could be a man in a costume or the result of some very convincing video effects. They also point to the rise of AI-generated imagery, which has become increasingly realistic. Despite these doubts, the hiker himself denies any allegations of a hoax, insisting the encounter was genuine. What adds to the intrigue is the fact that 2 separate videos showing Bigfoot in a foggy forest have surfaced recently. Both within the last couple of weeks, this has led many to believe even more strongly that these creatures might indeed exist. This next clip raises an interesting question for photographers. The person behind the camera, who chose to stay anonymous, was inspecting an old structure deep in the North Carolina wilderness, trying to see if any materials could be salvaged. During the process, someone accompanying the original poster noticed a grayish-brown figure peeking through a gap in the trees. Some believe that the presence of these 2 disturbed a Bigfoot, causing it to reveal itself. Others argue that it might simply be a colored tree stump. The angle through the small opening in the wood makes it hard to tell for sure. The image was sent to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization, but they couldn't confirm either way. Despite the uncertainty, the original poster decided to share this intriguing photo with everyone. What do you think? Is this a genuine Bigfoot sighting, or just a trick of nature with a tree stump? In 2009, high in the Colorado mountains, an area known as a hot spot for Bigfoot encounters, a figure covered in brown fur appeared briefly behind some rocks before disappearing, leaving only a pile of straw behind. Locals often joke that seeing a Bigfoot is a rite of passage, but this hiker's experience was anything but a joke. While navigating a rocky pass, he caught sight of something tall, cloaked in dark brown fur, lurking silently just beyond the boulders. It watched him motionlessly, then vanished the moment their eyes met. Instead of fleeing, the hiker made a daring choice. He went back. When he returned to the spot, there was no sign of the creature or footprints, only a bundle of straw tucked away behind the rocks. It looked like a makeshift bed or a blind. Was the creature eating there? Camping? Nesting? Or was the straw left as a clever decoy? What do you think he really saw? Could Bigfoot be smart enough to hide its tracks? Deep in the swampy forests of northwest Florida's Panhandle, a man named Freddy stumbled upon a strange set of footprints. They weren't scattered or wandering. These prints formed a perfectly straight line, something unusual for any typical animal. Curious, Freddy took some photos and sent them to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization, unsure if what he'd found was even worth reporting. When the RMSO team examined the images closely, they spotted something familiar.
Check out this row of tracks I found. It goes all the way up the bank. I'm fixing to follow it up. And some of these strides are 4 foot long, Jason. I just thought about that. Just think there's no slide marks. Hey Jason, put a marker here, please.
These tracks weren't ordinary at all. Some strides stretched nearly 4 feet long, with clean, precise impressions. No sliding or dragging marks. The footprints led straight up a bank and disappeared into dense brush, which immediately raised some questions. Southern Bigfoot, often called skunk apes, tend to be smaller than their Pacific Northwest relatives, but smaller doesn't mean any less mysterious. In fact, sightings of juvenile Bigfoot are more common than many realize. In these tracks, they fit that description perfectly. Okay, so I've seen this photo probably dozens, maybe hundreds of times over the years. I've seen close-ups of just the face and full body shots too, but it wasn't until Maria T. from Northern California sent this to me and pointed something out that I finally noticed. Look at the chest area. Are those breasts? I've been watching this kind of footage for years, and I never realized what looks like female anatomy before. Now I'm second-guessing everything. This has to be a female Bigfoot, right? The proportions are almost human-like, although the hair coverage is thick. Part of me thinks it's some elaborate hoax, maybe someone in an incredibly detailed costume. But on the other hand, it really does look like a female Bigfoot. I'm not sure. What do you think? I know this footage has been around forever. I've seen it too. I just never noticed this before. I even tried to reverse Google image search but didn't find much. If you know the story behind this, please share. While Bigfoot sightings are most commonly reported in North America, you might be wondering, what about South America? Though encounters from the region are rare, a brand new sighting has just surfaced, and it's turning heads. Uploaded on March 28, 2025, this footage comes from a farmer in Buenos Aires, Argentina. According to the uploader, this may be the first actual video evidence of a Bigfoot-like creature in the Buenos Aires region, and that alone makes it remarkable. In the video, a dark, bipedal figure is seen moving swiftly across open farmland. It's tall, clearly humanoid in shape, and glides effortlessly through the tall grass. The farmer claims no animals were in the pasture at the time, and this creature doesn't resemble anything native to the area. Think about it. What kind of known animal moves upright on two legs with such speed and fluidity? Judging by its long stride and estimated height, around 8 feet tall, it doesn't appear to be a person in a costume either. The way it walks is especially bizarre. It seems to be taking calm, natural steps, yet it covers a huge amount of ground with each one. Could someone in a bulky suit really move like that, especially across uneven terrain and tall grass? It seems unlikely. At one point, the creature stops, stands still, and appears to be simply grazing or observing the field, almost like it didn't even notice it was being watched. In the previous videos, we have already seen Bigfoot from Russia, but there were high-quality photos. Now let's consider what other people managed to remove. Amid the vast stillness of a Russian forest, where silence presses against the snow-laden pines, a solitary man lingers. The world around him is hushed, every branch bowed beneath the weight of winter's grip. His breath spills in quick, ghostly clouds, dissolving into the frigid air as his eyes scan the endless white. Through the curtain of falling snow, something stirs. A colossal shape moves with unsettling purpose, its broad frame pushing through the drifts as though the storm itself parts for it. Shaggy, towering, impossibly upright. Its gait is far too measured, far too deliberate to belong to any bear. The man's heart hammers against his ribs. A tremor runs through him, half fear, half awe. Could it be? The fabled creature whispered about in hushed voices. The Yeti, alive and roaming this frozen wilderness before his very eyes. The crew believes they may have actually filmed a Bigfoot rummaging through the county landfill. One of the funniest reactions in the comments pointed out, why are these guys whispering? Maybe it seems silly from the outside, but when you're caught up in a moment like that, it's hard not to lower your voice, as if even a whisper might give you away. A man set out on a solo winter hike in Penn O'Reilly National Wildlife Refuge, drawn back to the area by the strange tracks he had first noticed there in 2013. The footprints, roughly 15 inches long and barefoot, had puzzled him then, and now, buried deep in the fresh snow, he discovered a new set of tracks.
I've seen a lot of deer and elk and some moose tracks down here, and I came across this. Hope you can see it. Those sure do look like toes to me. I see about 5, maybe 4 for sure. It's about 5 inches wide, and if that is a big toe to the heel, it's about 13.5 inches. So I actually brought some plaster mix. This will be the first time I've ever casted plaster in snow. I don't know how well it's going to turn out, but I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. But it looks like some impressions going that way, right towards the water's edge. So there it is. Won't know more until I cast it and see what kind of details come out of it, but it sure looks like a footprint.
5 distinct toed footprints, each measuring 13.5 inches long and 5 inches wide, stretched across the frozen lake. No tracks led to or from them, just a straight line vanishing into the ice. He attempted to make a plaster cast, but the snow melted before he could. All that remained were photographs and careful measurements. So, get this. There's a story I came across from a Bigfoot researcher sharing memories of one of his old expeditions. Not long after setting up camp, one of the team members, Jim, caught something on his iPad's thermal app. He called the others over, and sure enough, the screen showed what looked like an upright figure moving through the trees. The group lit up. Finally, something. They quickly switched on their own thermal cameras and began recording. To their eyes, the shape was unmistakably humanoid, hunched forward as if bending down to forage, maybe even eating berries. At one point, the researcher swore he caught the faint stench of sulfur drifting through the air, which only fueled the adrenaline running through the camp.
Oh my gosh. So we radioed to the other teams, you guys need to get here now. We are watching a Bigfoot. I said, it looks like it's eating berries. And again, you can't see the whole thing. It's kind of in the bushes and it's kind of hunched over, but it's definitely humanoid in shape. So we're watching it. And at one point, I said, I can smell it. And it smelled like sulfur.
Then, the figure emerged from the tree line, moving with a hunched posture and a slight hobble.
Because, you always wonder, if you ever come close to a Bigfoot, how are you going to react? Are you going to hit record on the camera? Are you going to run? Luckily, we held our ground. We hit record.
The team stood frozen, cameras at the ready, convinced they were seconds away from capturing Bigfoot, until the figure emerged from the shadows, revealing itself to be Jeff, a member of their own crew. It turned out that amid the chaos of the group splitting up, Jeff had strayed a bit too far and eventually found himself near the tree line. From there, he quietly watched what he thought was another Bigfoot moving along a distant ridge. Meanwhile, he could hear the rest of the team chattering over the radio, but he stayed silent, assuming they were all watching the same figure he was. Only problem? Jeff, they weren't looking at a creature. They were looking at you. To make the mix-up even better, Jeff was dealing with a bum knee at the time. His hunched posture and awkward limping climb up the hill made his silhouette look uncannily like some kind of lumbering beast.
He's since apologized, and I said, don't worry about it. It's no big deal at all. It was actually very exciting, and it was like actually having a Bigfoot sighting almost, and seeing how we would react. So it was a good learning experience.
In the end, it turned out to be a false alarm, but the encounter gave them a glimpse of what a genuine Bigfoot sighting might feel like. Honestly, I've got to give these guys credit. They could have easily tried to spin this off as a legitimate capture and fooled part of the Bigfoot community. Instead, they chose to be upfront about what happened. That kind of honesty is rare, and it makes me even more curious to see what they might capture next. Who knows? Maybe one day they'll be the ones to finally get Bigfoot on camera for real. This is a fresh trail camera video recorded on July 10th, 2025. The clear close-up footage may have captured Bigfoot. The camera was simply set up, pointing toward dense undergrowth. According to the owner, it's located in the hills of West Virginia. He originally set the camera to film wildlife but was shocked by what it captured. A trail camera recorded a dark, bipedal creature covered in long, scraggly fur. Whatever it was, it seemed to attack the camera before stopping and walking directly in front of it, disappearing back into the forest. And because it was so close, identifying it is difficult. Skeptics suggest it could be a black bear, which are native to West Virginia. However, the hair, especially in the first shot, appears long, thick, and straggly, unlike the shorter, straighter fur of black bears. For this reason, many are hesitant to call it a bear, particularly given West Virginia's rich history of Bigfoot sightings. The state's rugged terrain and storied wilderness make it a hotspot for Bigfoot reports. From the famous New River Gorge to Sutton Lake, tales of mysterious encounters are deeply woven into local culture, with residents and visitors often reporting strange, unexplained activity in the Appalachian wilds. In the New River Gorge area, numerous sightings have been reported over the years, with some of the most notable occurring in the 2010s. In this video, filmed on January 5th, 2019, a group of friends are driving together through a rural area near a farm in Australia. The location is isolated, surrounded by open land and nearby forest, a place they're familiar with and don't expect to see anything out of the ordinary. The drive is calm and uneventful, with casual conversation filling the car as they move along the road.
Sammy, come on, stop! Hey, stop! Oh my God, what was that? What was that? Sammy! What was that? What was that? What was that? Sammy! Wait, did you say that?
Suddenly, a large figure runs directly across the road right in front of their vehicle. The driver slams on the brakes as the massive, upright shape passes by at incredible speed. As they stop the car, the figure continues running, briefly turning its head to look back at them before disappearing into the darkness. You can hear the shock in their voices as they ask, "What was that?" The size, speed, and human-like movement don't match any known animal in the area. The witnesses are clearly shaken, later stating they've never seen anything like it before. Whether it was a Bigfoot, often referred to as a yowie in Australia, or something else entirely, remains unknown, but the encounter left a lasting impression on everyone in the car. In this video, footage from a home security camera shows a seemingly ordinary moment on a quiet residential property. A man is standing near his car, taking items out of the trunk, with nothing appearing out of place. The area looks calm and empty, and according to the family, there were no nearby neighbors who would have had any reason to be walking through the property at that time. In the background, a brown figure can be seen moving across the frame at a distance. The figure appears upright and broad, walking steadily before disappearing out of view. What makes the clip especially unsettling is that the man never notices anything while it's happening. The figure passes through silently and unnoticed, only being discovered later when the footage is reviewed, leaving the family confused about what, or who, was captured on camera. In this video, a man is sitting high up in a tree, likely in a hunting stand, filming the forest around him during the daytime. The area is dense and quiet, with tall trees and thick undergrowth stretching in every direction. He slowly moves the camera, showing the surroundings and explaining that he believes something unusual is nearby. From his elevated position, he has a clear view of the forest floor, yet nothing immediately stands out visually.
I want you to hear this. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can hear a little better. Just a minute. Like I said, I'm quite a long ways away from the gifting rock.
Despite not seeing anything on camera, strange sounds can be heard echoing through the woods. The noises are deep and distant, not clearly resembling any known animal, and seem to shift direction as if whatever is making them is moving. The man remains still, listening carefully, occasionally adjusting the camera in hopes of catching something on video. Even without a visual confirmation, the combination of the sounds, the isolated location, and the man's cautious behavior creates an unsettling atmosphere, suggesting that whatever is out there is staying just out of sight. In this video, a man is walking alone through a forest when he suddenly notices something unusual off to the side. He slows down and begins recording, keeping the camera pointed toward the trees while trying to stay calm. At first, only vague shapes can be seen between the branches, and it's difficult to tell if anything is really there, or if it's just shadows and light playing tricks. As the footage continues, a pale, whitish figure becomes slightly more visible. The figure doesn't appear to move much, but it gradually becomes clearer as the man holds the camera steady. Long, oversized arms can be made out, though the image remains blurry and unclear. The figure seems to remain in place, not charging or retreating, which makes the situation even more unsettling. Because of the poor visibility and distance, it's impossible to identify what the figure actually is. But the quiet tension of the moment leaves viewers questioning whether the man captured something truly unusual or simply misinterpreted shapes in the forest. On a cold, snowy night, a man steps outside his home and decides to record as he walks toward the nearby forest. The area is quiet and familiar to him, surrounded by trees and deep snow, with only the sound of his footsteps and the night air filling the background. He mentions that strange things have happened in this area before, which is why he keeps his camera ready while approaching the tree line.
This is our home.
As he points the camera toward a dense bush near the forest, a pair of glowing eyes suddenly reflects back at him from the darkness. He shines his light directly at it and begins yelling, trying to scare whatever is hiding there away. Only the eyes are visible, unmoving and watching him, while the rest of the figure remains completely concealed. After several tense seconds, the eyes slowly disappear back into the brush, leaving him alone in the snow with no clear explanation of what was watching him. While fishing at Blessington Lake in County Wicklow, Ireland, a small group of 2 people noticed something unusual in the forested area behind them. The setting was quiet and secluded, with dense trees lining the shoreline and only the sounds of water and nature around. One of them quickly grabbed their phone to record as they tried to make sense of what they had just seen, but the encounter was brief and tense, leaving them shaken.
There, look! Where? Behind that tree there, do you see it? There, look! Where? Moving! Where? Now, what was that?
Through the trees, a tall, hairy figure can be seen moving away from them, its movement smooth and seemingly effortless as it navigates the forest. The creature remains partially hidden by the foliage, making it hard to see in full, but its upright stance and size are unmistakable. The witnesses immediately left the area and decided not to return, unsure of exactly what they had encountered, leaving the footage as the only evidence of this unsettling sighting. A man is out in the woods, explaining how he's trying to attract deer with his singing while filming the area around him. The forest is quiet, with the usual ambient sounds of birds and rustling leaves in the background. He seems focused on the task at hand, unaware of something unusual lurking just beyond the trees behind him.
Pretty sure he was looking for where the sound was coming from, but I stopped and started talking and now he's confused. Alright.
As he pans the camera across the area, a tall, dark figure suddenly comes into view between the trees in the background. The creature stands upright, partially hidden by foliage, and remains still for a few moments before disappearing further into the forest. Its size, shape, and posture make it clear that this is not a deer, or any ordinary woodland animal, leaving viewers to question exactly what had been silently watching him all along. That's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm curious what you think about these sightings. Which one stood out to you the most, and do you think any of them could be the real thing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So today we've looked at some compelling Bigfoot videos and photos. But what about audio evidence? On one snowy evening, a man stepped outside after hearing sounds he simply couldn't explain. He lives in a very rural area with woods nearly surrounding his property, and over the years he's heard just about everything nature has to offer. But this sound was different.
It's starting to get dark now, and I'm still hearing them damn noises. Take it a little bit.
He steps outside, trying to catch whatever is making the sound on camera, and he succeeds. Otherworldly, high-pitched screeches erupt through the woods, growing louder and more pronounced as the footage continues. They resemble whooping sounds, a noise commonly reported in Sasquatch encounters. Skeptics, of course, argue that it could be an elk or some other animal. But while elk can produce frightening calls, these sounds don't match what's heard here. People who report Bigfoot encounters often describe a wide variety of strange, unsettling noises, rather than a single signature call. Importantly, these sounds are usually described as deliberate and intelligent, not random animal noises like what you might expect from normal wildlife. One commonly reported Bigfoot sound is a deep, powerful howl or roar. The audio in this video, however, is more of a screech, a sharp, high-pitched scream or shriek. Witnesses describe these as sudden, piercing, and sometimes lasting several seconds, capable of stopping anyone in their tracks. Unlike cougar or fox screams, these cries sound unfamiliar and unnatural, unlike any known forest animal. Taken together, Bigfoot vocalizations are often described as loud, complex, and purposeful, qualities that make many believe they come from something far more intelligent than any ordinary woodland creature. Of course, skeptics suggest these sounds could be misidentified wildlife, echoes, or even human activity. But which side do you lean toward? Let me know in the comments. Let's go ahead and take a look at some newly released photographs. These come from Oregon's Blue Mountains, an area long considered a hotspot for Bigfoot encounters. The images were reportedly taken by a pair of campers who were staying near the region. According to the uploader, the photo appears to show a massive creature crouched low behind tall grass near a remote clearing. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a dark shape blending into the forest floor. But when the image is zoomed in, more detail becomes visible. In the first photograph, the creature's face can be seen. It appears to have dark grayish skin framed by dense hair outlining its face. The features include a pronounced brow ridge, a wide nose, deep-set, almost predatory eyes, and a thin, straight mouth, very much matching the classic Sasquatch description. The second image offers a look at the figure's body. It appears ape-like, covered in dark hair, with broad shoulders and a rounded head. The facial features seem distinctly primate, yet still carry subtle human-like qualities at the same time. According to the report, forest rangers were called to the area, and when they arrived to investigate, they also observed the figure. It reportedly rose from its crouched position and moved quickly into the trees. The rangers estimated its height to be between 7 and 8 feet tall, with shoulders roughly 4 feet wide. They described its movement as silent yet powerful, nothing resembling a normal human gait. This, they said, was the most unsettling aspect of the encounter. It was simply eerie. As mentioned earlier, the Blue Mountains are no stranger to Sasquatch reports. This vast, rugged region in northeastern Oregon is known for its forested ridgelines, deep river canyons, and expansive highlands. at least in theory, an ideal environment for an unknown creature to remain hidden and largely unseen. Here's a more recent Bigfoot sighting you likely haven't come across yet. It surfaced in late 2025 and was captured by a man driving past a remote, desolate field. The field features a massive hill with a gradual incline, and near the crest, a huge bipedal figure can be seen calmly walking along. The man records the scene from the road, zooming in slightly to give a clearer view of whatever it is moving across the hill. The figure in the footage appears to be a massive, dark, bipedal creature. Naturally, skeptics have tried to dismiss this sighting, suggesting it was nothing more than a large person walking on the hill. However, video analysts point out that the figure is uniformly dark in color, with no visible signs of clothing, and its outline looks consistent with a natural body shape rather than someone wearing apparel. If it were a person, you'd think we'd be able to recognize that fairly easily. Even though the footage was captured from a considerable distance, there should still be enough visible detail to tell the difference. That's one reason many people find this newer sighting convincing. The body proportions and posture also stand out. The figure swings its unusually long arms in an exaggerated manner as it walks, something frequently described in Bigfoot encounters. It also appears hunched, yet broad, with a rounded head and no visible neck. The video ends a few seconds early, but according to the man who recorded it, just after he stopped filming, the creature walked down the hill and disappeared on the opposite side, leaving him stunned by what he had just seen. It was also mentioned that the area was extremely remote, and there shouldn't have been anyone up on that hill at all. That detail only added fuel to Bigfoot theories surrounding this footage. So what do you think? Was this really a Bigfoot-like creature standing atop the hill that day? Or could it have been a person or something else entirely explainable? I'm not sure. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This next case is one I've covered before, but it's been quite a while, and I'm revisiting it because a new photo has recently surfaced. Originally, I thought there was only one image, but it turns out there were actually two. This is the infamous Bigfoot peeking into a cabin window encounter. The caption reads, "Bigfoot peeking in cabin, November 2024, reportedly taken by a man in the Pacific Northwest." The first photo is probably the one you've seen before, and honestly, it's chilling. The man was reportedly in his kitchen late at night when he noticed something staring in at him through the window. At first, he assumed it was a bear. He grabbed the camera sitting on the counter and snapped a few photos, only to realize moments later that it was no bear at all. What he captured appeared to be some kind of primate-like creature with glowing eyes. Something far closer to a Bigfoot than any known animal. Once he fully understood what he had photographed, he was completely shaken. And that's when he decided to post the images online for the world to see. Just imagine being in his position, looking up and locking eyes with a menacing creature staring back at you from outside your own home. It's easily one of the most unsettling Bigfoot encounters ever reported. The second photo, which I'm showing here, is noticeably blurrier, likely because the creature was moving when the picture was taken. However, the face appears brighter in this image, giving us a slightly clearer look at its facial features, and a better idea of what it may have looked like outside of the low light conditions of the first shot. So what would you do if you looked out your window and saw this? Would you grab a camera like this guy did, run and hide, or even try to go outside and confront it? Honestly, I'm not sure how I'd react in that situation either. Here's one of the most intriguing Bigfoot sightings I've come across recently. A drone operator was flying over a remote forest when something unusual appeared at the edge of the camera's view. The drone struggled to stay stable, and near the end, the camera got stuck in a tree, so we never got a full, clear view of the creature. Still, even in the partial footage, a large, upright figure is clearly visible, standing almost completely still among the trees. Its posture and size immediately stand out, and it almost looks like it's patiently watching its surroundings, as if waiting or searching for something. Some Bigfoot videos online feel unclear or staged, but this one doesn't. The drone captured a tall, dark figure that barely moves, shifting slightly now and then as if sniffing or inspecting the ground. You can make out broad shoulders, long arms, and a slightly hunched posture that doesn't match any known animal. Definitely not a bear. The stillness and partial view make it feel like the creature is aware of its surroundings, maybe foraging or simply observing quietly. We don't get the full picture, but even these few seconds are enough to make you pause and wonder, could this be actual Bigfoot walking in the forest? Here's a striking Bigfoot sighting from October 2012 in Provo Canyon, Utah. According to the video, a large dark figure is seen at first sitting quietly, seemingly searching for food. The forest around it is calm, but the creature's sheer size immediately draws attention. As the clip progresses, it rises to its full height on both legs, standing upright and looking directly toward the camera.
Yeah, I can't see it. Yeah, we probably should be too close to it, huh? Oh, cool though. Let's go.
The reaction from the campers is immediate. They start running, leaving behind personal belongings and even their tents in the rush to escape. Some Bigfoot videos can feel staged or exaggerated, but this one looks genuinely intense. The figure's sudden movement from a seated position to standing upright is natural, and its posture is unmistakably humanoid. The fact that it holds its gaze on the camera for several seconds adds to the sense that it is aware of the observers. You can almost imagine the thought process behind its actions. Maybe startled, maybe simply curious. But the immediate flight of the campers speaks volumes about how imposing the creature appeared. Even without seeing the full context, the clip conveys a real sense of scale, presence, intention that makes this sighting especially compelling. Here's a curious Bigfoot sighting that took place in October 2023 in Colorado, while riding the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad through the mountains. Tourists Shannon and Stetson Parker spotted something strange moving on a distant hillside as they were looking for elk during their scenic trip. The couple grabbed their cameras and managed to capture both photos and video of a large, hairy, upright figure walking along the side of the mountain before crouching or sitting down to rest in the open terrain. They later shared the footage on social media, claiming the creature was at least 6 to 7 feet tall and appeared camouflaged against the sagebrush when it crouched.
It's an elusive creature. Alright, just squat it down.
Where at?
Yeah, let me see your camera, I'll do it.
Some viewers noted that at first the figure seems to move naturally on 2 legs before settling down as the train passes by. Shannon and Stetson say the moment was so unexpected that most passengers didn't even notice, and they were left stunned by what they saw. While some believe this could be evidence of an unknown creature, others have suggested it might be a person in camouflage or a staged sighting. Debates online continue. Here's a wild Bigfoot sighting that reportedly took place in a swamp near Tampa, Florida. A man named Matt was canoeing through Lettuce Lake Park when he noticed something moving through a gator-infested area of the swamp. At first, he assumed it was a bear and started filming from a distance. But this immediately raised questions, since the park is known for having very few, if any, bear sightings, especially deep in swampy terrain like this. What he captured on video shows a dark figure walking through the water, before eventually diving beneath the surface and disappearing. footage more closely, this doesn't behave like a bear at all. The arms appear unusually long, swinging low as the figure moves, and its gait looks smooth and deliberate. Bears can stand on two legs, but this movement doesn't match typical bear behavior, especially in deep swamp water. What makes this even more unsettling is the location. This area is full of large alligators and water moccasins. Matt himself pointed out that if this were a person, they'd have to be completely reckless to move through the swamp like that. According to him, the creature seemed to notice his presence, moved toward deeper water, went completely underwater, and never resurfaced. Whatever this was, it handled the swamp with ease, which makes this sighting especially hard to explain. Here's a reported Bigfoot sighting from October 2020, captured on a wildlife surveillance camera in western Alberta, Canada. The camera was originally installed by biologists to track wolf movement in a remote forested area with very low human activity. Instead, it recorded something completely unexpected: a large, dark, furry figure moving slowly behind a tree. This was the second reported Bigfoot sighting in Alberta that year, with multiple others reported in the region in recent years. The area itself is known for having plenty of prey and very little human presence, making it an ideal environment for a large, elusive creature. Looking closely at the footage, the creature's size immediately stands out. It appears to be extremely tall and wide, with proportions that don't match a typical bear. While some suggested it could be a bear standing upright, the upper body looks more like a humanoid, or even gorilla-like shape, especially the head and shoulders. The way it moves is slow and deliberate, stepping carefully from foot to foot rather than shuffling or charging. Interestingly, earlier footage from the same camera shows two deer passing through the area and suddenly fleeing, leading some to believe the creature may have been lying in wait. Whether this was a predator watching its surroundings or something else entirely, the footage raises some unsettling questions. Here's a brief but unsettling Bigfoot sighting shared on Reddit. According to the post, a man's father had a short encounter while driving through Rochester, Washington. As he was traveling down the road, he noticed something dark standing near the roadside. The figure was only visible for a moment, but it was close enough to catch attention before the car passed by. The video attached to the post shows a black, unclear shape positioned just off the road, partially blending into the surrounding trees. Some roadside sightings are easy to dismiss, but this one is interesting because of how the figure is positioned. It appears tall and upright, standing still rather than moving like a typical animal, startled by a passing vehicle. The shape doesn't resemble a deer or bear, and its dark silhouette contrasts sharply with the background. The brief nature of the encounter actually adds to its realism. There's no dramatic buildup, just a sudden moment where something clearly shouldn't be there. It's the kind of sighting that lasts only a second, but stays in your mind much longer. In late October 2020, the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization received this footage from Logan Canyon, Utah. As per the witness, he and his son were driving through a popular rifle hunting area when they spotted a dark figure walking along a creek bed while he assumed this was a hunter. He couldn't explain why they were wearing all brown during an active rifle hunt, especially given that it's illegal to not wear a certain amount of orange. Nevertheless, the witness didn't stop to investigate, since he was due to attend a meeting, still curious. However, he and his son revisited the scene. A few days later, concurring to this, the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch team arrived unannounced together. They attempted to gauge the size of the subject, using a 6-foot-tall, 200-pound man as a reference point. They estimated that the figure was 7 feet, 28 inches tall, and twice as wide. here's one of the most convincing Bigfoot sightings of 2026. It was uploaded on January 10th, 2026 by the Squatch Watchers and was submitted to them by a viewer. According to their description, this trail camera footage shows what appears to be the closest thing to a Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot we've seen in recent times, as it walks across the screen and disappears into the thicket. Here's a closer look at the footage. The uploaders didn't specify exactly where this was recorded, only that it was somewhere in the US. Even though the video is slightly blurry, we still get an incredible view of the alleged creature. As it walks, it swings its arms naturally and moves effortlessly across the forest floor. The figure is strikingly similar to the famous Patterson-Gimlin film, arguably the most well-known and widely accepted piece of Bigfoot footage. Seeing new evidence that resembles it is truly groundbreaking. This clip is actually much clearer than the original Patty film. The slight blur here comes from two factors. First, it was captured on a trail camera, which aren't known for high-resolution footage. And second, it was digitally zoomed in, which reduces video quality. Despite that, the details are astonishing. You can see the chest musculature, the domed head, the massive shoulders and upper body, and even what appears to be muscle flexion as it walks. Experts are saying there's essentially no way this could be someone in a costume based on these observations. This is some truly remarkable new evidence. And the fact that it's one of the first Bigfoot videos released in 2026 makes it even more exciting. Hopefully this year will bring even more compelling footage. But most importantly, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. As you probably know, I like to include not just video and photographic evidence of Bigfoot, but physical evidence as well. Today, I have an incredible piece of footprint evidence to share. Back in 2017, a woman known online as Kelly Rainbow Butterfly captured this image. This incident took place in Chulau, Washington. Kelly was reportedly hiking through the forest when she stumbled across this massive footprint. The track measured over 20 inches long, and she noted that there were other tracks nearby, though this is the only photo she shared. Just look at how enormous it is compared to her foot. A 20-inch footprint is incredible. The level of detail here would be difficult to fake. You can clearly make out each individual toe, the full sole, and a well-defined heel. The slight arch of the foot is also visible, indicated by the deeper impressions in the heel and toe areas. Adding even more credibility, Washington State has long been at the center of Bigfoot lore, with reports stretching back centuries. Indigenous tribes in the region told stories of giant, wild forest beings that inhabited the mountains and river valleys long before the name Bigfoot even existed. So, is this a genuine Bigfoot print? Or is it just too good to be true? Let me know what you think. Up next is a very strange trail camera video that's been making the rounds online. It was first highlighted on December 10th, 2025. The footage itself is surprisingly clear, but the Bigfoot-like figure in the background barely moves, leaving many viewers unsure of what to make of it. That said, if you watch closely, there are a few moments where the creature does appear to shift slightly. On this day, the trail camera was triggered when several deer wandered into view. They move about calmly, creating what initially looks like a typical and pretty cool trail camera clip. But something far more unsettling appears to be lurking just behind them. unbeknownst to the deer, an enormous hairy creature is standing upright just behind the structure. For the most part, it remains still, but there are moments where it moves, showing us that this is very much alive. The trail camera doesn't capture the ground, so we can't measure its exact height, but it's clearly much taller than a human. Also, notice the strange structure behind the deer. It appears to be some kind of makeshift shelter, almost like a teepee. Bigfoots are often reported to build shelters like this, and there are countless accounts of people discovering similar structures deep in the woods, structures so large and remote that they couldn't possibly have been made by humans. They had to be the work of something far stronger, far larger. There's something incredibly eerie about this clip. The deer are completely unaware that they're mere feet away from a massive, potentially predatory creature. A creature that would have gone entirely unseen if the animals hadn't triggered the trail camera in the first place. Here's an extremely exclusive and completely new Bigfoot video. It was captured on a Ring camera and posted on January 20th, 2026. This wasn't a doorbell camera, but a security-style unit mounted at the back of the home, aimed toward the backyard fence and the dense forest beyond it. One morning, the homeowner woke up and noticed a notification on his phone from the Ring app. It simply read, "Motion detected." Since the alert had been triggered late at night, his curiosity was immediately piqued. He opened the app and replayed the footage, fully expecting to see something ordinary, maybe a deer, or if he was lucky, a coyote passing through. But as the video played, his jaw dropped. He was in complete disbelief as he watched the dark figure emerge from the shadows. At first, it appeared small and hunched, but then it straightened up and suddenly grew massive. As it stood upright, its full size became apparent, revealing what looked like a terrifying humanoid creature. The homeowner had no idea how to react. He had never witnessed anything like this before. Unsure of what to make of it, he uploaded the footage online to see what others would think. Predictably, many viewers immediately suggested it was Bigfoot, or some other type of giant humanoid cryptid. Until now, though, the video has only been seen by a few thousand people. And because the footage is so new and relatively unknown, there's still no definitive explanation. Could it have been edited, enhanced, or even generated by AI? Or is it genuinely what the homeowner claims it to be? If authentic, this would be one of the first times a Bigfoot-like creature has ever been captured on a Ring security camera. There are plenty of videos out there showing alleged ghosts or strange figures caught on these devices. But Bigfoot? That takes things to an entirely different level. And because this footage was so exclusive, I felt like I had to share it with you. If any new information comes out about this case, I'll make sure to keep you all updated. As promised, here's one of the clearest and most convincing Bigfoot sightings I've seen. According to the uploader, an equipment operator clearing trails for the National Park Wildlife Corridor spots a tall, dark, upright beast watching him work. This footage was captured directly by the corridor's webcams, giving it an added layer of credibility. The figure is clearly upright and large, standing out against the natural backdrop, and the fact that it was recorded by stationary cameras means there's no shaky hand excuse. What we're seeing appears to be genuinely unusual. The first couple of shots look pretty standard, just showing the operator clearing trails. But then, in the third shot, something dark and upright suddenly appears. Just like the caption said, it seems to be watching him work. Maybe the sound of the heavy machinery caught its attention, or maybe it wasn't happy about its territory being disturbed. Either way, it stands there, shifting slightly from side to side, observing. What really jumps out is the size. This thing is massive, both tall and wide, far too big to be a person in a costume. The video cuts off soon after, and it's assumed the creature quietly left the area. Reports suggest this all happened in a Canadian national park, which, as many of my videos show, seems to be a hotspot for sightings. Maybe it's time I plan a trip to Canada for some Bigfoot hunting of my own. But for now, take a look and tell me what you think. I'd say this clip is pretty convincing. Have you ever heard of the Yucca Man? It's one of the most chilling and convincing Bigfoot legends out there, backed by countless eyewitness reports and even some photographic evidence. In this segment, we're diving into the Yucca Man and sharing one of the most famous images said to capture this elusive desert giant. The photo, reportedly taken in the California desert during the 1990s, shows what many believe to be the Yucca Man. Unlike the forest-dwelling Bigfoots of northern and central California, this creature is said to roam the deserts of Southern California, particularly around Joshua Tree National Park and the Marine Corps base at 29 Palms. Eyewitnesses describe it as a massive, shaggy, Bigfoot-like figure moving through the yucca-covered valleys and washes. Its coloring is often pale or sandy, blending perfectly with the desert landscape. Some accounts even claim it reaches heights of 10 feet or more and is strong enough to make the ground tremble when it moves. Stories span decades, coming from hikers, locals, and even military personnel who've reportedly seen something enormous crossing the base at night. Common threads in these encounters include an intense feeling of being watched, mysterious footprints in the sand, and the sight of a huge figure darting between boulders with surprising speed. Whether it's an undiscovered species, a desert spirit, or just a legend that grew over time, the Yucca Man has firmly cemented itself in Southern California folklore. In this eerie photo, it's one of the pieces of evidence that keeps believers and skeptics talking. Here's the latest Bigfoot sighting making waves online. A guy named Kyle Campbell captured this footage on November 24th, 2025, along a quiet logging road in the dense forests of British Columbia, Canada. The video itself is surprisingly clear, but the creature is partially hidden behind thick foliage. Even though we don't get a perfect view, the encounter feels incredibly authentic. There's something about the way it moves and holds itself that makes you stop and think, could this really be Bigfoot? Some Bigfoot videos online feel staged or just off, but this one doesn't. Kyle Campbell spotted something Bigfoot-like not too far away, whipped out his phone, got a quick recording, and then wisely backed off. Staying any longer could have put him in serious danger. His goal was simple: capture proof and get out safely. Watching the footage closely, you can make out a tall, dark, upright figure peeking from behind a tree, clearly trying to stay hidden. At one point, it bends down and then slips back behind the tree. You can just barely make out a humanoid shape, with a broad, slightly hunched posture. The way it moves doesn't match any known animal, definitely not a bear. Kyle himself is clear, this wasn't a bear or any other wildlife he's familiar with. So did he really capture a Bigfoot in the wilds of Canada? With secluded logging roads like this one, it wouldn't be the first time. But I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. A Vermont man says he recorded unsettling green night vision footage of what he believes may be a juvenile Bigfoot sitting in a tree. The video shows a small, dark figure gripping the trunk, then climbing deeper into the branches with unexpected agility. Reactions are mixed. Some viewers argue it is nothing more than a bear cub or possibly a porcupine, while others point out that the movement does not seem typical for either animal. With no clear imagery available, no definitive conclusion can be drawn, but the footage has undoubtedly reignited speculation about what could be lurking in Vermont's forests.
Just staring right out at me. Not bolting like a bear cub, say, would do.
Hello?
There's a lot we can pick up on this video that I did not notice at the time. Here he is moving some leaves out of the way from our right to left. Or could it even be a wave?
I can see you.
Next, he turns and shimmies up the tree.
Where are you? I think I see you. Hello.
In some shots, we see a young Bigfoot climbing a tree. The author sees fluffy hair on his back, which may indicate the young age of the individual and incomplete molting. In many mammals, a thick, more fluffy coat is characteristic precisely for the adolescent stage, when the coat has not yet acquired the density and structure of an adult. In addition, such a hair distribution may indicate a seasonal change of coat, which indirectly confirms the biological rather than mythological nature of the creature. It is also important that the ability to confidently climb a tree indicates a well-developed upper body musculature and coordination, which is rarely observed in adults in such observations. This leads some researchers to suggest that young Bigfoots spend more time in the trees, both for safety and to observe the surrounding area. Some cryptozoologists consider Vermont to be part of the so-called Appalachian Corridor, a hypothetical route along which a Bigfoot population could move from the southern United States into Canada. Within this framework, Vermont is viewed as a quiet node, a place where the creatures do not remain for long, but appear on a regular basis. Bigfoot evidence seems to pop up more often than ever these days. Videos, photos, eyewitness accounts, you name it. But what about a Bigfoot selfie? I'm not talking about Bigfoot holding the camera, but one of those rare moments where someone snaps a photo and the creature just happens to appear in the background. That's exactly what happened to a lone hiker back on February 20th, 2022 in Northern Virginia. She was trekking through Shenandoah National Park along the Appalachian Trail as the sun was setting, casting the forest in that golden hour glow. Everything was picture perfect, until she snapped a selfie that would later become infamous among Bigfoot enthusiasts. She didn't think twice about it at the time. She snapped the photo, finished her hike, and went on with her day. But later, when she looked back at that selfie, everything changed. Standing behind her in the background is a disturbing human-shaped figure. It appears aggressive, arms stretched outward, and it looks like it's staring directly at her. The unsettling part is the realization that it may have been following her the entire time she was on the trail. Once the image started circulating online, theories flooded in. Some believe it's a Bigfoot-like creature, possibly a juvenile Sasquatch. Others went in a more supernatural direction, suggesting it could be a ghost or something far beyond our understanding. Skeptics offered an even more terrifying explanation, that she may have been unknowingly stalked by someone in the woods. But when you really study the image, the proportions stand out. The arm length, the posture, the overall stance, it just doesn't line up with a normal human. And honestly, being followed in the wilderness by anything is enough to trigger pure fear. Whether it's an unknown creature, another person, or a predatory animal, it taps into one of the most primal fears we have as humans. The feeling that you're not alone, and something is watching you. While hiking through the woods, a man noticed a dark silhouette standing completely still, partially concealed by brush and trees. He described an overwhelming sense of intensity, as if he were being watched. When he glanced to his left, he suddenly locked eyes with the figure. Instinctively, he pulled out his camera, if nothing else, to document what might have been his final moments. The figure appears almost human, But the eye shine is what really stands out. That alone was enough to send him into a panic, and he turned and ran. Honestly, what is this thing? If I encountered something like that on a hike, it would absolutely terrify me. This video is a classic example of how the line between reality and mystification is blurred in the darkness of a night forest. This is footage taken by a man who, according to legend, went into the thicket to argue, deciding to prove to his friends the existence of the legendary cryptid. The atmosphere is expertly conveyed, the trembling beam of a flashlight cutting through the deep darkness, and the growing sense of anxiety that inevitably arises when watching such filming. The focus is on a massive figure that is difficult to mistake for an ordinary forest animal. The creature captured on camera has all the features of a classic Bigfoot. Huge height, incredibly wide shoulders, and no visible neck, which makes the head seem like an extension of the body. The light of the lantern does not just fall on a flat surface, it reflects off the thick, matted fur, emphasizing the volume and muscle mass of the creature. It seems that under the fur you can feel the movement of living muscles, and the half-squat position indicates readiness for an instant reaction. The sharp, chaotic operation of the camera and the operator's ragged breathing add to the documentary quality of the video, creating a found film effect. However, if you include a bit of skepticism, questions arise. The story of the dispute is the perfect setting for a high-quality prank. Friends who knew the hero's route could easily have prepared an expensive costume and taken up a position in the forest. Low video quality and constant shaking are favorite techniques to hide the texture of faux fur or the seams on the mask. Why does the creature behave so passively, allowing itself to be viewed for a few seconds, rather than hiding instantly, as befits a wild beast? Is this video indisputable proof, or is it just a masterful production for the sake of winning an argument? We don't know what happened to the author after the camera turned off, and this adds to the story's ominous mystery. What do you think? Does this Bigfoot look convincing to you, or do you clearly see a man in a suit in it? Write your opinion in the comments and tell us if you believe in such meetings in the wilderness. We are waiting for your theories. If you are a serious Bigfoot enthusiast, you probably already know where this is headed. The Patterson-Gimlin film remains the most famous and most controversial piece of Bigfoot evidence ever recorded. Let me walk you through the full story, including the background, what the film actually shows, the aftermath, and the ongoing debate. The incident took place on October 20th, 1967, at Bluff Creek, California, a remote, heavily forested canyon in Humboldt County that had long been rumored to be a Bigfoot hotspot. The individuals involved were Roger Patterson, a rodeo cowboy, author, and amateur filmmaker, and Bob Gimlin, his close friend and fellow cowboy who accompanied him as backup. Patterson had a long-standing interest in Bigfoot and was in the process of working on a documentary about the creature. The two men were riding on horseback through Bluff Creek, investigating recent reports of large footprints in the area. It was during this search that the now infamous sighting occurred. The footage runs for roughly 59 seconds and was shot on shaky, handheld 16mm film. It shows a large, hair-covered bipedal figure walking away from the camera along a creek bed. The figure appears to be female, with visible breasts and a powerfully built frame. At one point, it turns its head and looks directly toward the camera, an iconic moment that has become the most recognizable image from the film. Initial estimates place the figure's height at around 7 feet, though later analyses have suggested a range between approximately 6'6" parse and 7'4". The creature displays broad shoulders, long arms, a conical-shaped head, and thick, bulky legs. Its gait is smooth and elongated, with naturally swinging arms, noticeably different from a typical human walk. The film was quickly developed and shown to scientists, journalists, and television audiences. Patterson was convinced he had captured authentic footage of Bigfoot. Gimlin, while initially more cautious, has consistently stood by Patterson over the decades, maintaining that what he witnessed firsthand matched what was captured on film. The Patterson-Gimlin film went on to become the cornerstone of modern Bigfoot research, generating massive media attention and prompting countless investigations. Supporters argue that the creature's proportions, visible muscle movement, and unique gait are unlike any known human anatomy or costume technology available in the 1960s. Anatomists such as Dr. Grover Krantz and anthropologists like Dr. Jeff Meldrum have highlighted details including calf muscle flexion and arm length as evidence against the figure being a suit. Costume experts have also noted that the special effects capabilities of 1967 would have struggled to replicate the naturalistic muscle movement seen in the footage. In recent years, the film has been digitized and stabilized, allowing for clearer analysis of the gait, musculature, and overall proportions. Yet despite decades of frame-by-frame scrutiny, no definitive consensus has ever been reached. The film remains the most famous and influential piece of Bigfoot evidence in history, frequently cited as a benchmark in modern investigations. To this day, it continues to divide skeptics and believers, hailed by some as a groundbreaking cryptozoological discovery, and by others as the most enduring hoax in American folklore. In the following video on a deserted night highway in Saskatchewan, where there is only darkness and endless Canadian forest, a police DVR recorded something disturbing. The headlights pick out a huge figure from the darkness, walking along the road with frightening calm. The creature does not react to the car, does not accelerate, and does not show fear. This is the official record, and it leaves more questions than answers.
Unit 30, I'm on County Road 9 northbound. You copy this?
Go ahead, 30.
I've got, I don't even know, massive subject walking the shoulder, looks like a large male.
Looking at the physical proportions in this footage, we see classic Sasquatch morphology. Notice the no-neck silhouette. The head appears to be tucked directly into the massive trapezius muscles, creating a conical shape that is nearly impossible for a human in a costume to replicate convincingly. The shoulders are incredibly broad, spanning what looks to be at least 3 feet across. Even more telling is the arm length. If you look at the creature's left side, the hand reaches down toward the knee level. In human anatomy, the fingertips usually rest at mid-thigh. This elongated limb-to-torso ratio is a primary indicator of a non-human primate. The way the light reflects off the figure's coat is another point of interest. It isn't the flat, dull sheen of synthetic fur. It has the texture of living, matted hair that holds depth and shadow. The creature's gait, described by the officer as heavy and deliberate, is footage here mid-stride. There is a fluidness to the movement, a mid-tarsal break, suggested by how the weight is distributed on the gravel shoulder. This giant isn't startled by the patrol car. It doesn't look back or exhibit the flight or fight response of a deer or a bear. It shows a total indifference to human technology, behaving as an apex predator that knows it is the master of its environment. When we use the road markings and the height of the vehicle's hood for scale, we are looking at an entity that stands well over 7 feet tall. The sheer mass required to fill out that silhouette is staggering. This official footage leaves little room for trick of the light theories. We are looking at a living, breathing mystery that stepped out of the folklore and into the glare of a dashcam. What do you think? Is this the definitive proof of the Saskatchewan Bigfoot? Let me know in the comments and stay vigilant. In early April 2014, a man named Will came across a set of unusual footprints while hiking in the mountains of Genoa, Nevada. According to the Sierra Tahoe Bigfoot research blog, Will is an experienced tracker who spent significant time outdoors. While following fresh deer tracks, he noticed something odd. The deer prints abruptly stopped in a steep canyon, but large human-like footprints continued through the same area. Will photographed 15 of these prints, which appear broader and deeper than typical human tracks, suggesting that something heavy had passed through. The remote and rugged location only added to the mystery, given Will's expertise in identifying wildlife signs. The research group regarded his discovery as more credible than many casual sightings. The blog does not claim this proves the existence of Bigfoot, but it does highlight how skilled outdoorsmen sometimes encounter unexplained evidence in the wilderness. The Genoa Trackway remains one of Nevada's better documented cases, thanks to a knowledgeable witness, thorough notes, and clear photographic records of the tracks. So, What do you think? Could these be genuine Bigfoot prints, or is there another explanation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. A lone photographer was hiking near the remote springs of Utah when he suddenly heard the crunching of leaves and branches in the trees. Startled, he quickly swung his camera in the direction of the noise and caught sight of something truly chilling. A massive, dark, two-legged figure slid silently between the trees, moving deliberately as if it were observing him in return. The shape paused for a moment, then disappeared into the shadows, and the footage abruptly cut off without any explanation. A hunter carefully sets up a trail camera at the edge of his remote campsite before packing his gear and leaving the area for the day. The forest appears calm and undisturbed as he disappears down the trail, unaware of what will unfold in his absence. Hours later, the camera records unexpected movement between the trees. A large, Bigfoot-like figure slowly emerges from the shadows, standing at a short distance as if studying the campsite. The figure remains still for several moments, its massive frame partially obscured by brush, suggesting caution and awareness. After observing, it begins to move closer, step by deliberate step, until it reaches the hunter's tent. The creature briefly inspects the structure before gripping the fabric with one hand, tugging at it as if testing its contents or scent. After several tense seconds, the figure releases the tent and retreats back into the forest, vanishing as silently as it appeared. The footage concludes later when the hunter returns to camp, casually going about his routine, completely unaware that his camera has captured something extraordinary while he was gone. A Reddit user was hiking through the Appalachian Mountains, snapping photos along the trail. While on this particular hike, he began feeling an unexplained sense of unease and decided to cut his hike short. Later, when reviewing his photos, he noticed something puzzling. Near a cluster of rocks, there was a dark shape that didn't resemble the surrounding trees or stones. His details were hard to make out, but it clearly stood out. The hiker says he would have noticed if it were a bear, but he's unsure what it could be. He suspects it might have been Bigfoot silently observing him. What's your take on it? While hiking up a mountain when man says he spotted a Bigfoot walking ahead of him. Take a look.
Bigfoot went up into that cave. I just saw Bigfoot.
Unfortunately, he didn't manage to capture the creature, only his reaction. Without concrete evidence, many remain skeptical of his claim. The hunter, during the inspection of the new hunting grounds, placed the camera at the creek, and at 5:57 p.m., with the sun long gone and the temperature a brisk 52 degrees, the infrared flash triggered, catching something that should not be there. Take a look at the far left margin, just behind that thick foreground tree. While the rest of the woods seems standard, we have a clear, dark mass that breaks the verticality of the timber. What we are seeing here is classic peeking behavior, a trait reported by thousands of witnesses worldwide. The creature is using the diameter of the tree to obscure its bulk, but it couldn't hide the most compelling piece of evidence: the eyeshine. Notice the height of those two glowing orbs. Based on the surrounding saplings, we are looking at a set of eyes positioned roughly 7 to 8 feet off the ground. The density of the shadow behind the tree is too solid to be a trick of the light or pixelation. There is a physical volume there that absorbs the infrared light differently than the leaves. If this were a bear, we would expect a different snout profile. But here, the eyes are forward-facing and set into a wide, heavy brow. The sheer shoulder width suggested by the dark shape behind the bark points toward a massive, muscular build consistent with Sasquatch morphology. Is this a resident of the creek bed watching the intruder, the camera with curiosity? The placement is too deliberate for a stray animal. This is a predator or a high-level scout observing its territory. What do you think? Is this the definitive proof we've been waiting for, or just a trick of the night? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and sub for more Deep Woods analysis. In 1969, Alan Plaster captured footage of a strange white-haired figure near Lake Worth, Texas. Soon after, locals reported sightings of a 7-foot-tall creature with a goat-like face, long claws, and a terrifying scream. Vehicles were scratched, Residents panicked, and then the creature vanished, leaving only its legend behind. Fast forward to 2025, and a new video emerged showing a dark, fur-covered figure in the same area, this time filmed in daylight.
Look at it close up right here. As you can see, it's all black. Massive. Easily a 9-footer. Check it out. Look at its gray beard. You can even see its face. Look at its nose right there. You see it? This was recorded in East Texas. Massive creature.
Some dismissed it as a hoax, while others insisted it was evidence that the Lake Worth monster had returned. A group of explorers embarked on a hike deep into an undisclosed remote region, somewhere in the U.S. forest lands. They were miles off the beaten path when a chilling sensation crept over them, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. That's when they decided to start filming, sensing that something extraordinary, or terrifying, was about to unfold. What they captured over the next several hours is nothing short of astonishing. Out of nowhere, a massive ape-like creature with dark, reddish-brown hair burst from the tree line, charging at the group. In a panic, they fled, but not before catching it on camera. Moments later, they managed to film it, retreating back into the woods. Believing the creature wasn't intent on harming them, merely warning them off, the team did the unthinkable. They went after it. With nerves of steel, they tracked the being and captured even more footage. At one point, it emerged into a clearing, offering the clearest view yet, and when the camera zooms in, it becomes increasingly difficult to believe this is someone in a suit. The hair appears naturally integrated with its body, lying flush against its muscles, suggesting this might be a living, breathing entity. Still, the footage raises more questions than answers. The mystery remains unsolved, and until we learn more, nothing can be confirmed with certainty. But one thing's for sure. This is some of the most convincing and high-quality Bigfoot footage we've ever seen. People constantly complain about Bigfoot videos being too shaky or unclear, but this one breaks that mold. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This one deserves a real conversation. While walking his dogs through the rugged eastern Sierras, Bill was stunned to catch a rare, close-up glimpse of what appeared to be Bigfoot lurking just nearby. An encounter that left him questioning everything he thought he knew about the mysterious creature.
Be careful.
If you focus on the far left side, you'll see it moving quickly behind the trees and through the snow. It hides behind a dense tree, then crouches and parts the branches just as I pan away to film the dogs. At the start, the dog is watching it in the upper left corner of the frame. The figure moves very smoothly, with almost no up and down motion. Initially, I didn't notice any arm movement, but after zooming, I can see the arms do move. One frame shows a side profile with a domed head. Right before Bill pans away, the fast-moving figure stops in the thick trees and seems to stay there, watching Bill and the dogs. Not only does this figure have a dome-shaped head, but its movement is way too smooth for a person. No natural bounce in its stride. Its body shape looks unnatural for a human too. And here's the creepy part. If this was someone in a costume, Why would they hide in the dense trees, watching Bill and the dogs? It's like this Bigfoot, if that's what it is, moved quickly in the open, but slowed down to hide and observe once it reached cover. In this intriguing trail cam capture, we're presented with a rear-angle image of what many claim to be a Bigfoot, a large bipedal, ape-like creature making its way up a forested slope. The figure appears large and muscular, with dark fur covering most of its body. Notably, the fur is not uniform. There are areas, particularly around the thighs and rump, where the hair is patchy or missing. This could suggest mange, seasonal shedding, or even age-related fur loss, a trait more commonly observed in known mammals, particularly bears. However, what stands out is the creature's posture. It's walking on all fours, but the limb structure and length, especially of the back legs, give it an oddly humanoid proportion. The spine is relatively flat, not arched like that of most quadrupeds, and the leg extension looks longer than what you'd expect from a typical black bear. One theory is that this is a black bear with severe mange or deformity, possibly caught in a rare moment of movement that makes it appear more human-like. However, believers argue that the arm-to-leg ratio and the smooth stride up the incline seem unnatural for a bear. The gluteal area, in particular, shows significant definition, almost as if the musculature is human-like, which has led some to suggest that this could be a genuine Bigfoot or large primate not yet classified by science. Of course, skeptics will point to the angle and the motion blur, both of which can easily distort perception and make a known animal look unfamiliar. Still, it's hard to ignore how eerily humanoid this figure appears, especially given the symmetry and the apparent gait. In the end, this frame remains inconclusive, a powerful example of how one single image can straddle the line between hoax, misidentification, and potential evidence of the unknown. What do you think? Is this a mangy bear, a person in a suit, or did a trail cam just accidentally capture something that's not supposed to exist? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. A chilling new trail camera video has recently gone viral after being posted on TikTok by the user Dead Cinema on June 9th, 2025. Allegedly filmed in Alaska, the clip is causing a stir online. The caption reads, "Unbelievable Bigfoot sighting caught on trail cam in Alaska. Watch as this elusive creature stares directly at the camera, raising more questions than it answers." Though the exact filming location remains unknown, it's said to have been captured deep in a forested area. The creature shown has an unsettling, almost haunting look, with facial features eerily reminiscent of a primate, and fur so realistic it seems almost tangible. But it's the creature's eyes that stand out most, glinting with an intelligent, almost human-like awareness. What's fueling the video's popularity is how unusually close and clear the footage is, which makes it all the more compelling. Skeptics, however, argue it may just be a well-crafted product of CGI or AI rather than a real-life creature, a possibility that's not far-fetched in today's digital age. Still, Alaska has long held a reputation as a Bigfoot hotspot, particularly in notorious areas like Port Chatham. Back in the 1940s, the settlement was abandoned after a string of mysterious and violent deaths, which some blamed on a Bigfoot-like entity. Locals spoke of a wild man dragging people into the forest and leaving behind massive human-like footprints. In places like Lake Clark National Park, witnesses have reported hearing bone-chilling roars, finding enormous tracks along riverbanks, and even rare visual encounters. Returning to the viral video, one of the top comments jokingly states, "That actually looks more legit than all those other Bigfoot videos. This one doesn't look like he just got back from the spa." It's a fair point. Many past sightings feature creatures that look far too clean and groomed for something supposedly living in the wild. So, the big question remains, is this gripping trail cam footage a breakthrough in cryptid evidence, or simply the latest high-tech hoax? In this compelling frame, we see what could potentially be one of the most intriguing images of a Bigfoot-like figure captured in a natural setting. The image, taken in what appears to be a cold, late autumn or early winter forest, shows a lone, dark figure moving along a path in a sparsely wooded area surrounded by birch trees. The figure in question is clearly bipedal and covered in dark, seemingly uniform fur or clothing. Its posture is upright, and it appears to be in mid-stride, walking away from the camera. What immediately stands out is its scale. While it's difficult to judge exact height without a clear reference, it seems proportionally large compared to the surrounding brush and tree trunks. The shoulders are broad, the arms hang low, and the head sits almost sunken into the torso, all of which are common traits described in eyewitness Bigfoot reports. While the photo is zoomed and the subject is somewhat distant, the environment appears natural and unaltered. The leafless birch trees and tall grass offer no signs of staging. Importantly, the figure is not blurry in a way that suggests motion blur or digital manipulation. It simply appears distant, as if caught on a handheld device with limited zoom. This lack of overproduction actually adds a sense of authenticity. Skeptics might argue this is a person in a dark outfit, possibly a hunter or hiker, but there are counterpoints to that. First, the build of the figure is unusually bulky, and the stride looks long and purposeful. Second, there's no visible gear, backpack, or headwear that you'd expect on a person trekking in such cold conditions. And third, the way the arms hang and swing doesn't quite match typical human gait patterns. Overall, this frame feels less like a hoax and more like a genuine capture of something out of the ordinary, whether it's an unknown animal, a local legend in the flesh, or something we haven't classified yet. The snowy stillness of the forest only adds to the eerie feeling that we may have just caught a glimpse of something watching the wild in silence. What do you think? Another misidentification? Or could this truly be the real deal? Let's discuss it in the comments. Let's take a look at another remarkably clear and close-up piece of Bigfoot footage, one that's flown under the radar. Originally filmed in late October 2023, this video has only been viewed by about 30,000 people, making it a hidden gem to this day. It was shared by WV Paranormal on TikTok, a family-run account dedicated to the bizarre phenomena they encounter on their remote property. From unexplainable creatures to ghostly sightings, their page is filled with truly strange and unsettling content. The family is believed to reside deep within the Appalachian Mountains, a region steeped in mystery and folklore. Given the area's long history of unexplained encounters, and it's no shock that they regularly experience the extraordinary. But this particular moment stands out. While the father was walking through the woods behind his home, he spotted a figure that stopped him in his tracks. A tall, upright, hairy humanoid figure standing completely still, seemingly trying to blend into its surroundings. Once it realized it had been seen, the creature turned and lumbered back into the forest, disappearing from view. The video captures both moments, the creature standing frozen in its slow retreat, with surprising clarity. It's easily one of the more convincing Bigfoot clips out there. Now, the Appalachian mountain range runs from northern Georgia all the way up through Maine, and Bigfoot sightings have been reported in nearly every state along this ancient backbone. Some of the most active hotspots include West Virginia, known for its paranormal history, especially Point Pleasant, home of the Mothman, and frequent Bigfoot reports. North Carolina and Tennessee, particularly in the Smoky Mountains, where hunters and hikers routinely report encounters. And Pennsylvania, with its deep-rooted Bigfoot lore and a strong presence of cryptid research communities. It's highly likely that this family lives somewhere within one of these regions, assuming the footage is genuine. So, Did this father actually capture a Sasquatch on camera that day in the woods? Based on what we see, it's not out of the question. A brand new Bigfoot encounter just dropped on July 4th, 2025, and it's already sparking serious curiosity. The uploader, Sonny Vader, shared this chilling account, stating, "A crew member spends time alone at a remote wilderness camp in the Canadian Rockies. He was investigating strange occurrences that led a local native band to abandon the area, a site once used for end-of-life spiritual rites." According to the story, one of Sonny Vader's investigative team members ventured out to explore the location firsthand. He camped there for 4 days and nights, documenting the area and setting up surveillance equipment. Much of what they captured was fascinating, eerie but calm, that is, until the final night. Around 12:30 a.m., everything changed. The silence of the wilderness was shattered by deep guttural growls echoing through the darkness. Sounds unlike anything you'd expect from known wildlife. They didn't match the typical calls of bears, which are common in Canada. These were something else. Primal, almost ape-like in nature. On top of that, clear wood knocks were heard, a phenomenon often reported in Bigfoot encounters. The sounds were enough to terrify the lone investigator, who quickly realized he may not have been alone in those woods. Feeling shaken but armed with enough compelling evidence, he decided to pack up and leave the site immediately. As many of you know, Canada ranks among the top countries for Bigfoot sightings. While the US has plenty of reports, Canada holds its own with a long history of unexplained encounters, particularly in its vast, untouched wilderness. So, the question is, did this investigator capture yet another Canadian Bigfoot on record? Could this be one more puzzle piece in the growing archive of cryptid encounters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This one feels too real to ignore. In this video, a man is walking alone through the forest at night, recording as he looks around with his flashlight. The area is completely dark, with only the beam of light cutting through the trees. Everything feels calm at first, but there's an uneasy silence hanging in the air. Suddenly, a loud scream can be heard somewhere in the distance.
Here we go. We're at the giant tree. I found it. Oh shit. I found it.
The sound doesn't clearly resemble any known animal, and almost sounds human, but deeper and far more aggressive. No other wildlife reacts, and nothing appears on camera. The man pauses, slowly turning in place, trying to figure out where the sound came from, but whatever made it stays hidden in the darkness. It could have been a person, some unknown animal, or possibly something like a Bigfoot. And the uncertainty is what makes this encounter so unsettling. In this video, a group of people were driving through Provo Canyon near Sundance, Utah, when they noticed something unusual moving among the trees along the road. Curious and confused by what they had seen, they quickly turned the car around and decided to record as they headed back to the same spot.
Yeah. It's like right here, right? Around this corner, I think. Like right here somewhere. Oh, look, right there. Stop, back up. It was right there, I just saw it.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Gosh. Watch out, you're like going off the road. Where'd it go? It was huge. I scared him off. Dang.
At the time, They weren't sure if they managed to capture anything at all. It wasn't until they got home and reviewed the footage that they noticed a large dark figure standing and moving between the trees. The figure appears upright and partially obscured by branches, making it difficult to identify clearly. While the video leaves room for doubt, the shape and posture don't resemble a typical animal seen in the area, which is why many believe this could be a possible Bigfoot or Sasquatch sighting. In this video, a man sets up his camera in a forest clearing, where he's previously noticed multiple animal trails and bedding areas. The location feels remote and active, the kind of place where wildlife regularly passes through. He leaves the camera running, hoping to capture something unusual moving through the area. When reviewing the footage later, a large dark figure can be seen walking through the clearing, partially hidden by tall grass and vegetation. The figure moves upright and steadily, but the grass blocks a full, unobstructed view, making details hard to see. While the footage isn't perfectly clear, the size, posture, and movement don't match common wildlife. Skeptics argue it could be a person, but the height and bulk seem off. Whether it's truly a Bigfoot or something else passing through the clearing, the clip remains intriguing, especially given how naturally the figure appears in its environment. In this video, two police officers are driving together late at night, casually talking as they patrol a quiet road. The area is dark and mostly empty, with only the headlights illuminating the road ahead. Nothing seems out of the ordinary at first.
Yeah, I had several of them tell me that. They're like, look, I've lived in this county since I was 12 years old. Had the farm, daddy's farm, still got the land, and anybody coming on my property looking for no good, I'm going to shoot them. What the crap?
What was that?
Did you see that?
Yes.
Holy crap.
What the heck was that?
That was on 2 feet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Suddenly, as they pass a certain stretch of road, a dark figure can be seen moving along the side of the road. It appears briefly on the left shoulder, walking close to the edge as the officers drive by on the opposite lane. The figure is barely visible in the darkness, but its size and upright movement immediately catch their attention. The officers react with surprise, clearly confused about what they just saw, unsure whether it was a person, an animal, or something else entirely. In this case, a man was spending time in a forest he knows very well, an area where he regularly hikes and explores. He was casually looking around when something sudden caught his eye near the tree line. For just a brief moment, a large figure darted between the trees, visible only partially as it moved behind them. The man says the creature appeared massive and moved quickly, disappearing almost instantly. He later explained that he has spent a lot of time in this forest and has never seen anything like this before, which is why the encounter left such a strong impression on him. In this unusual sighting, a woman was filming her surroundings when she noticed movement on the roof of her house through a semi-transparent covering, possibly a plastic or mesh layer. A dark figure can be seen slowly crawling. The movement is deliberate, low to the surface, and seems purposeful, as if the creature is carefully making its way across the roof. The witness suggested it could be a yowie, a term often used interchangeably with Bigfoot in different regions. Even though the figure is partially obscured, its size and humanoid shape are noticeable. The way it moves is unlike any known animal, low, cautious, and strong, giving the impression that something unusually large and intelligent is navigating the roof. The combination of poor visibility and the figure's deliberate motion makes the sighting particularly eerie, leaving viewers unsettled and intrigued. In this video, a group of people are boating near the shoreline of a forested area in Ontario, Canada. The scenery is peaceful, with trees lining the water's edge and gentle waves lapping against the boat. Suddenly, a large, dark figure emerges between the trees along the shoreline. The figure is tall and bulky, walking upright, and is visible fairly clearly thanks to the decent video quality. It moves quickly, passing behind the trees before disappearing entirely into the forest. The witnesses were startled, realizing they had just seen something that didn't match any known wildlife in the area. In this video, a man is filming high up on a mountain in California, exploring the possibility of unusual creatures in the area. The footage is of low quality, making it hard to identify details clearly.
Look at the shape up there. What the hell is that? Oh my God. That ain't right. It's like a wolf, but holy crap. I don't think I should be up here.
Partway through, a dark figure can be seen moving across the ridge. It jumps and then quickly disappears behind some terrain, possibly entering a burrow or hollow. The man filming comments that it looks similar to a wolf, but the figure's size, posture, and movement are unusual, and could also suggest something more mysterious, like a Bigfoot or a werewolf. The unclear quality of the video leaves room for interpretation, making this a particularly intriguing and puzzling encounter. In this video, a father takes his child on a quiet nature walk through the woods. At first, everything seems calm and ordinary, with the sounds of nature surrounding them as they move along the trail.
Come on, man, let's do a nature walk.
Alright.
Woohoo! Do I get it? Yeah. Let's do a nature walk. Come on, let's go.
Alright.
Come on. Hey, isn't that cool, Rafe?
Yeah. Nice don't break. Oh. Look at this.
Yeah, look at the view. Wait, Rafe. Shh. What is that? Shh. What is it? Hey, get over here. Get over here, Rafe. What is that? What is that? Stay behind me. What is it? Are you kidding me? All right, let's go. 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 Go, 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 go. What is it? What is it? Is it following us? Stay right there. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go.
Suddenly, strange noises begin coming from deeper in the forest. The sounds don't clearly match any familiar animal and seem to follow them from behind the trees. As the noises grow louder and appear to get closer, panic sets in. They turn back to look, only to realize whatever is making the sound has closed the distance. Moments later, they begin running, clearly frightened by what's pursuing them. Whether it was an animal, a person, or something unknown remains unclear, but the sense of being followed makes this encounter especially unsettling. Here's a strange moment that was only noticed after the video was uploaded. A vlogger was filming a casual outdoor clip in the woods, talking directly to the camera about gear and hunting equipment. At the time, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. It was just a simple video recorded in a forest setting, with the vlogger completely focused on what he was saying.
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Weston Yancey with Modern Outdoor Media. We just wrapped up a shoot out here with Just Instinct Creative, shooting the rad power bikes, riding some trails. I wanted to talk to you guys about a giveaway we're getting ready to launch with our B Alpha shirts. So these B Alpha shirts that you've seen on our social media, we're going to do a contest where those who buy one, if you go tag us in your rifle kills this year, we're going to give the best photo bison cooler. So you're going to be able to pack your hunting stuff. You're going to be able to pack your drinks, all that kind of stuff when you're out hunting.
but viewers later spotted something unsettling in the background. Behind him, a tall, dark figure appears to move slowly among the trees, partially obscured by foliage. The vlogger shows no reaction at all, seemingly unaware that anything is there. What makes this clip disturbing isn't just the figure itself, but how close it seems to be, lingering quietly while the man continues filming. The shape looks upright and humanoid, and its slow movement doesn't resemble typical wildlife, which has led many viewers to question what exactly was standing there in the woods. Here's a clip that comes from near Priest Lake in Idaho. A hiker had stopped to take a few photos when sudden movement in the trees caught his attention. At first, he wasn't sure what he was seeing, so he quickly switched to video. You can hear the surprise in his voice as he realized something unusual is moving just beyond the tree line.
It's crazy.
A few moments later, a large figure steps into view, appearing to stand somewhere around 7 to 8 feet tall. The body looks dark and bulky, moving slowly and deliberately through the forest. Unfortunately, the footage is shaky and low quality, and the distance makes it hard to get clear details. That's what makes this one so frustrating and interesting. The size and upright movement don't match most known animals in the area, but with footage like this, it's impossible to say for certain what the hiker actually encountered. This footage comes from a group of hikers who had just finished a long climb to Panorama Ridge near Black Tusk Mountain in British Columbia. They stopped to rest and take in the massive views stretching across the peaks and glaciers. At first, everything seemed normal, just another breathtaking moment in the mountains. But then, far off in the distance, they noticed something moving across the glacier.
Dude, no.
Yeah, it is.
You think so? It has to be. It just looks like such a big thing for such a, like...
He's fucking hauling it down that mountain.
Down that for sure. No, but he's like just going through... He's not on a trail, guys. This is not...
Why is this so
What are we looking at? Seriously. Are we all seeing the same thing, right?
Yeah! Yo!
A lone, dark figure could be seen steadily making its way down the icy slope.
I don't think that's a person, guys. Look at...
I'm fucking zoomed in as much
The
as
hikers
I
can be heard reacting in real time, clearly confused by what they're seeing. The movement looks strong and deliberate, not quite matching the way a normal hiker would travel across such terrain.
Dude, but the way it's like
walking
this.
like up. It's up. No way you could cover that ground.
Yeah,
if
you're
were
just
a
going down the
person.
side of a glacier? No way, man. And by yourself? And it's dark. What the...
Like, for scale.
Given how remote the area is, the size of the figure, and the unusual stride, it left them wondering if they had just witnessed something far more unusual than another person on the mountain. Here's a mysterious sighting from August 19, 2009. A trail camera was set up in a remote area of bushland as part of a scientific survey. The goal was just to monitor wildlife, but what the camera recorded was far from ordinary. In the footage, a tall, broad figure moves behind the foliage, partially hidden by the bushes, making it difficult to get a clear look at what exactly is there. Looking closer, the figure's size and shape stand out immediately. It appears much larger than a normal human, and moves in a slow, deliberate manner that doesn't match typical hikers or wildlife in the area. The darkness of its body and upright posture give it a distinctly humanoid silhouette. While it's impossible to be certain with the limited visibility, the combination of scale, movement, and location raises questions that have kept this footage a topic of debate for years. Was it just someone in dark clothing, or could this have really been Bigfoot? Here's a curious moment captured by a hiker while out in the woods with her dog. She was simply enjoying the trail and taking some casual footage when something unusual appeared in the distance. At first glance, it almost looks like part of the landscape, but there's clearly a shape moving among the trees and bushes.
Isn't this gorgeous? We are on the backside of Marylhurst College. I had no idea this was down here. And probably wouldn't have if Izzy didn't chase a big white-tailed deer right through the woods. She is having the best time. Aren't you? She's still watching for the deer.
Looking more closely, a large brown figure can be seen standing briefly before slowly moving away. The footage is low quality, which makes it hard to determine exactly what it is, but the size and upright posture are unusual for typical wildlife. Even with the limitations of the video, the way it lingers and then moves off gives the impression of a large humanoid presence, the kind of brief, unexplained glimpse that leaves viewers wondering what might really be out there in the forest. This next clip comes from a forest in Oklahoma and was filmed at night. The person recording noticed movement not far ahead between the trees and quickly turned the camera in that direction. In the darkness, two large shapes become visible moving through the forest, clearly taller and bulkier than a normal person. As the footage continues, you can see both figures walking slowly between the trees. Their eyes reflect the light, glowing in the darkness, which immediately rules out most common animals. They don't run or panic. Instead, they move calmly and deliberately, passing through the area before disappearing back into the trees. The slow, controlled movement and the presence of two large figures at once make this encounter especially unsettling and hard to explain. This clip comes from Russia and was filmed late at night as a group of friends were driving along a snowy forested road. The area looks extremely remote, almost like open fields mixed with dense woodland, with fresh snow covering everything. At first, nothing seems out of the ordinary, until something suddenly runs across the road far ahead of their vehicle. At first, the group assumes it might be a moose or a bear, which would make sense given the location. But when you slow the footage down, the figure looks strangely human-like. It runs upright, with long limbs and a light-colored, almost white body that stands out sharply against the dark forest and snow. The movement doesn't match a bear's gait, and it's far too tall and narrow to be a moose. Whatever crossed that road moved fast, confidently, and disappeared into the darkness, leaving the group confused about what they had just seen. In this next case, a hunter was moving quietly through the forest and approached a river, hoping to spot animals coming down to drink. Instead, he noticed a large figure crossing the water at a surprisingly fast pace. Instinctively, he pulled out his camera, snapped a quick photo, and backed away. Only later, when he looked at the image more closely, did he realize what he may have captured. The photo shows a tall, upright figure moving through the river, with long arms and a bulky humanoid frame. After realizing how unusual it looked, the hunter shared the photo online, convinced it wasn't any animal he recognized. This next video doesn't show a creature at all, but it might be one of the creepiest clips on the list. It was recorded by a police officer standing alone in the middle of a forest at night. The area is completely dark, with no visible movement, until a loud, unnatural scream echoes through the trees.
What the absolute fuck is it? Starting to regret that I stopped at this rest stop. And they say Bigfoot isn't real? I don't ever want to stick my arm.
As the recording continues, the officer slowly scans the area with a flashlight, trying to locate the source of the sound. The screaming can be heard multiple times, deep and powerful, not resembling any common animal call. Despite searching the surrounding area, nothing is visible, and no movement is detected. The fact that the sound is so close, yet the source remains unseen, makes this encounter especially unsettling and difficult to explain. Crawl spaces tap into some of our deepest instinctive fears, which is why so many people find them genuinely terrifying. They're dark, cramped, and almost entirely inaccessible without a flashlight, creating the feeling that humans aren't meant to be there. A man named Kyle Anthony made one of the most chilling discoveries ever recorded in a crawl space. It started when he began hearing strange recurring noises, knocks, shuffles, and unexplained movements coming from beneath his home. Eventually, he decided to install a security camera inside the crawl space. What it captured was truly unsettling. In the original footage, the crawl space is almost completely dark, making it difficult to see anything clearly. However, if you look closely, you can make out what appears to be the outline of a human, or at least something humanoid, moving within the darkness. Whatever it is, it appears unusually tall and only reveals itself for a brief moment. When the footage is brightened and enhanced, this is what becomes visible. The figure appears far larger than an average human. The homeowner has remained neutral about the sighting, stating that he doesn't know whether it could be a person living down there or something more supernatural. Based on the freeze frame alone, though, it certainly gives off an otherworldly impression. The video was uploaded on August 7th, 2025. Since then, despite repeated attempts to capture additional evidence, nothing else has appeared on camera. That lack of further activity actually adds weight to the supernatural theory. If it were a person hiding in the crawl space, they would need to come and go for food, water, and other necessities. A ghost or other unknown entity, on the other hand, wouldn't have those limitations and could remain hidden indefinitely. Whether this turns out to be a person or something far more disturbing, it's clear that something is very wrong down there. Personally, I wouldn't stick around, but I'll continue following Kyle's story, and if any new information comes out, I'll be sure to share it. Recently, a video appeared on the internet of a tourist who was walking in the northern part of California, passing through a forest area and coming out on a small edge. He saw this. At first glance, this shot shows a large, dark, bipedal figure moving in a wooded area. The total mass of the object is impressive, with a wide torso and thick limbs, immediately distinguishing it from an ordinary human silhouette. The proportions of the body look massive, and the long arms hang low, which is a recurring detail in many of Bigfoot's alleged recordings. One of the most noticeable elements is posture. The figure appears to be slightly hunched over, as if it is leaning forward depending on the terrain. This forward tilt is consistent with reports describing a center of gravity other than human, especially when traveling over uneven terrain. The head is apparently set low on the shoulders, without a clearly visible neck, which creates a continuous slope from the skull down to the upper back. The lower part of the body has a dense muscular structure, especially in the thigh area. The apparent length of the legs in relation to the body suggests proportions that do not quite match the average human physique, although the motion blur of the video and resolution limitations should be taken into account. The mass and density of the silhouette are difficult to discard immediately. Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like it. The clip we're examining was posted by The Facts by How to Hunt channel, and the title says it all: an upright figure sprinting across a cliff face in broad daylight. Honestly, the moment I saw it, I was immediately reminded of that old Wasatch Mountain video, the one showing a creature, possibly Bigfoot, racing across an icy slope as if the cold didn't affect it at all. I'm sure many of you remember that footage. And here's the thing about the Wasatch video. If a creature can move that quickly and confidently over ice and snow, then navigating a dry, unobstructed mountainside would be effortless. Watching this new clip, notice just how much distance the figure covers in only a few seconds. It's astonishing.
Straight in there, right where I'm at right now, going across that cliff over there. Right. Okay, he's over here now.
I always come back to the same question: what exactly are we seeing here? If it's not Bigfoot, then what else could match that size, that shape, that dark silhouette, and move with such speed and agility along a mountainside? The only other possibility that comes to mind might be a dogman, but nothing else really fits.
Instead of taking trails, you just side-hilled all through this shit. It was on top of this cliff. Came down that, straight down, and then walked over. The guy's over there. About ready to disappear over the side.
It's most likely AI, but wow, just look at that little Bigfoot. I mean, that's impressively done. You can tell it's probably too polished to be genuine footage, but still, imagine if it were real. Is there anyone out there who thinks they can make a solid case for this being authentic? Or are we all in agreement that this one belongs firmly in the AI category? Jitrums. A massive shadowy shape steps out from the forested slope, its form wide, imposing, and undeniably human-like. It remains motionless between two enormous poles, looming in complete silence, as though locked in time. The atmosphere tightens while a nearby witness lifts a phone to capture the moment.
Oh my god, look at it! It's just standing there! Bigfoot! Oh my god!
The figure stands completely still, which can create the impression of observation, as if the object is watching the author of the video and is ready to react if he approaches. When the freeze frame is enlarged, the outlines of the torso and head are really visible, which at first glance resemble human ones. However, it is important to take into account more mundane explanations here. Image quality, video compression, the play of light and shadow, as well as the pareidolia effect may well force our brain to finish familiar shapes, where a person, a mannequin, or an ordinary natural object is actually located.